guys, welcome to RiseOfPatience and welcome to the stream of the Nomadium tournament. I'm here with my co-streamer, AZ Kron.
Hi everyone, how are we all?
And yeah, we're just doing a mic test right now. We'll be beginning in 5 to 10 minutes max. And just stay tuned there. Meanwhile, who all we got in the chat currently? We've got FC Bob and Issue S or Wellington. We got Spiridon, AS Clan. I do not know who is CEO Sono Nayam. And so hi everybody, and we'll be beginning shortly.
So we'll just do another mic test really quickly to make sure. Please let us know if the audio sounds okay or if we need to fix something up.
Also let us know if you can hear me and Kron at the same volume level. We don't want one person to be drowning out the other one. And I'll also put the game noise just in case the game is too loud.
I think there might be a little bit of feedback for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I don't think it's too bad.
Okay, so let's just go over it quickly. If it's not too bad, then we can start.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll be muting the mic right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. So, just so you know, basically, we will. I'll just go live on my channel, and I'll mute everything just temporarily. Okay, hang on one sec. Okay, right, my stream's live now. Yeah, we can talk about that. So, just so you know, I'm mirroring everything from your YouTube at the moment. So, I'm just doing a straight restream for the time being, and I might do that the whole game, or I might switch to my own window. But either way, as long as I can comment, that's the main thing. So. Yep. Hey, apparently there's some echo. I'm just talking to Spiridon. Yep. Alright guys, we're getting close now. We're just doing a final mic test now just to make sure that there was talk about a little bit of echo coming through. So we're just trying to resolve this echo before we get started.
Yeah, so if you hear anything strange, let us know. We don't want to go on with the complete broadcast and have some issues. And there's a chat overlay on the screen, so if you guys want to tell us anything during the game, during our broadcast, let us know and we'll respond to you right away.
It's okay. Yeah, I can't really.
Hello, guys, and we are finally going to.
Hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, perfect. No worries. I just had some issues with my Skype, but now it's back up and running. And I'm not sure if this is live or not, but are we ready to go?
Yes, we are. I just clicked on a random replay. I'll go back.
Hmm.
So, right before we start, let's talk about some important things. Um, so, I am pulling up the schedule of the whole tournament right now.
Hmm.
Mm, so, we are at PLA versus AZ2 right now. Today's Saturday here, and we have three really good games coming up. First, we've got RO versus AS Alpha, which should be played within 2.5 hours. Then we've got 4 volley. So the time that you see on the screen, that is EST, Eastern Standard Time, or -5 GMT. Just keep that in mind because that's my time zone right now. And then we also got 4 volley versus AL, I think one of the most anticipated games of this tournament, alongside RO versus AS Alpha.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I mean, there's some awesome games coming up. For Valley versus AL, definitely going to be the best game of this round of 16, in my opinion, as far as caliber of teams go. But yeah, look, a lot of good games coming up for sure.
And then we've got TGC versus LAT3, and LAT3 is one of the underdog teams of the among the 4 LATs. So I guess it's going to be a little difficult for them to win, but we'll still be interested to find out whether they can win against all the odds.
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, I guess we'll soon find out. But yeah, look, going to be really exciting games. And I feel like we're finally getting to that point of the tournament where there's a lot of unknowns coming up, including the match, yeah, that we're about to cast, which is, I'll let you do the honors, Jatin, if you want to introduce the teams.
Yes, and just before introducing teams, the last one tomorrow we have AZ1 versus LAT2. Um, I think AZ1 versus LAT2 would be the last matchup of this preliminary round, the first round of Nomadium, isn't it? Or is there any other matchup still left?
I believe Lat 2 versus AZ.
Oh yes, that's one scheduled for tomorrow. But yeah, I guess that's the only one that's still left.
Yeah, I believe that's the last one. So yeah, we're starting to get through the games now. But yeah, look, oh,
And
hold on one sec.
I would like to give a shout out to all the players in the tournament. They have been very supportive. We have not had any issues all this time, and we expected the first round of the tournament to get over by Sunday. And looking at our schedule and how things have been going, I think we will be able to manage that timeline. And next week we can start the second round of the tournaments, which is the quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sorry, I'm just trying to get my technical side of things set up at the moment, Jin. So apologies, guys. I'm just having some issues with my resignations, but
Oh, that's all
um,
right. So
I
yeah,
believe it's
meanwhile, I'll switch up to the total matchup window. So far, we have had L versus AS Underground, where L won with a 2-0. Then PLA 2 versus Ind, where Ind won versus 2-0. But remember, PLA 2 was the was a team, not the strongest team of PLA. It was made up of intermediate players, as I've been told. So PLA 1, or just PLA, which is playing today, is going to be the major PLA team, and it has one of the strongest of PLA, so it's going to be quite exciting. And also to bring to your notice that PLA, it was all I guess PLA was also voted as the top 4 contenders in this tournament. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, PLA, we tried to figure out the fairest way we could set up this tournament, and ultimately what it came down to was we had to basically pick 4 teams which the community thought were the 4 strongest teams in this comp. These are the 4 teams that we think they're almost like the chosen ones, the golden teams that we expect have the best probable odds of making that semi-finals, and we wanted to make sure that we haven't got the number 1 seed versus number 2 seed. No one wants to see Federer versus Nadal in the first round. You want to see them in the finals or the semi-finals. You want to see all the great players, Djokovic, etc., etc. This is the Rise of Nations equivalent, and we've got EL, we've got PLA 1, we've got 4 Vali, and I believe the lucky team AZ1 was came into the top 4 as far as those 4 seeds go. And tonight's match is actually an interesting one because we've got a top 4 team that was seeded in PLA 1, and for those that don't know, PLA is a Chinese clan. Essentially, it stands for People's Liberation Army, which could have 2 meanings. Firstly, I believe that's the name of the armed forces in China, so it's natural to adopt that as something that Chinese can be proud of. And then secondly, if anyone here might have played Command and Conquer Generals, which was another RTS game released back in the day around the same time as Rise of Nations, I believe. PLA are actually a nation that you can play in that game as well. So I'm not sure which one they're named after, but I know that it's basically a Chinese clan of the best Chinese players, and I believe they've been around since first Rise of Nations first started getting played online, and ever since then they've always had a really strong presence.
Yes, that's right. PLA is one of the oldest clans. I have seen at least Mouse. Mouse started around my time, and he is clearly among the best right now. And talking about, yeah, and let's switch quickly to the players matchup. We've got Valentin saying that this screen is pretty blurred, and can others check? Because when I try to see it from my stream, it looks fine.
Yeah, just let us know if the quality is not great. We do have the chance to, we can potentially change it to 1080p, but the problem with that is it may cause synchronization issues when we cast, which might make our commentary slightly out of sync. And if anyone plays Rise of Nations much, you see the out of sync errors. We might have the equivalent of that. So that's something that we're just trying to make sure we can avoid. So please, if anything during the cast happens, just keep giving us feedback. We can see the chat on the stream, and it's the best way of getting that message through to us.
Yes, and Siosonos Nayam, he says, can you guys please start? And yes, we'll be starting very soon. We just have a 5 minute of small announcements, like let's talking about the players and our prize pool, and then we'll be beginning shortly. So be patient. And can you also write down what's your Steam nick, so we can refer you as that, and it just makes others to know you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think first things, yeah, let's talk about the teams. So, we've touched on PLA. So, as I said before, just to recap, PLA, the best Chinese team. I believe they were founded by a combination of Martinet and Mouse. And so Martinet apparently was the original founder, and mostly plays on Chinese servers, but doesn't come across to the Steam servers online and the worldwide servers very often. So kind of interesting in that sense, because they play a lot with each other and they practice a lot with the other Chinese players. And so for us, there's a few players here that we don't necessarily see all that often. But as you go down the roster, you've got Mouse there. I've said this before, but one of the best Chinese players, and possibly top 5 Nomad players in the world. You've got Timeless, you've got Angela, you've got TNO, all great players. Linky, an exceptional player. And then rounding out the roster, you've got Monkey, Penguin, and TNT.
Yes, definitely. This is, I mean, whoever they choose in the top 3, it's going to be a disaster for the other team. And just talking about AZ2, I don't know if you have discussed this. How did AZ get that name?
Well, that's a great question. And I mean, I can see Young One is in the chat. So perhaps Young One, if you are listening to this, you could possibly let us know by typing something there. But look, essentially, I believe it was originally founded, there was a clan called RA, which I believe stood for Rise Against. And that was when I personally first joined the Rise of Nations scene about 2.5 years ago. And everyone was part of RA. And RA was formed by Young One, Leonidas, and Omega. They were the 3 leaders. But I believe after a while, the group kind of split into different factions, and I think the leaders didn't always get along. So I believe Young One kind of, after the RA kind of demise and RA kind of fell apart, Young One formed the clan AZ. And I wish there was an interesting name behind this, behind the story behind the name. Sorry, but I don't know if there necessarily is. I think it might have been a case of Young One was talking with FC Bob, who people might know, and I think Bob might have been drunk, and they were suggesting different clan names, and for some reason they thought AZ sounds like a cool name. So that's how it came to be.
All right, and Dave says that it's interesting how there are team players from USA and even Italy. Yeah, that roster does seem like it has a lot of variety, and variety is always good. However, it also creates a lot of trouble with time issues. Like you cannot be at this. It's difficult to manage and be online at the same time. So I think Pla team would mostly have either players from China or from everywhere else playing in a single team because that just makes it more feasible for them.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe, I mean, yeah, the one thing in common, I guess, I think of all the players except perhaps Penguin, even though they are based in Italy and United States, they're all proud to be of Chinese heritage, and I believe most of them can speak Chinese fluently as well. So yeah, it just makes sense that they're able to represent their people and put together a strong showing. And I believe China is arguably probably the strongest Asian nation when it comes to Rise of Nations as far as how well they do. So
Yes,
yeah,
that's very much possible. And Young One has clarified that A to Z means A from alphabet A to alphabet Z. So looks like that's a that's an all-inclusive name. And
exactly. I think and that makes sense. And I don't know if Young can confirm this, but obviously me being a part of the clan, I'm obviously not playing this match tonight. But if you look at the clan A to Z, I feel like that's probably a fair assumption saying all inclusive because there are players in our clan from across the world. You've got Indian players, Turkish, American, Japanese, and obviously I'm Australian myself, and so you can pretty much pick every single part of the world, and there's someone from that area. So I
yeah,
guess all we need is a South American, and we probably have every continent covered.
yeah, that's quite interesting. So just quickly before we move on to the prize pool, um, yeah, in this team, Nakazaku, Lelouch, Rizaki, and Language Trees, who do you think will make up for the best roster, best three-man squad?
So I think looking at this roster on paper, it's fairly equal, and there's not really a bad roster to throw out there. But I guess to give some insight, because with these players I know them reasonably well, Nakakazu is one of those players who's constantly played the last 2 years and just practiced so hard, and he has improved so much. He's one of those guys that started out as a middle kind of inter player, and then slowly over the last probably 12 months, he's kind of slowly grown and grown his reputation to the point where people are actually afraid to play against him. That's how good he is, and I'm really excited to see him play. But I'd say he's definitely one of the strongest players on our roster here of the four-man squad. And then secondly, you've got Lelouch. Lelouch is also known as Abu. So you might have seen Abu play if you played 2 or 3 years ago, and then he's been Lelouch for the last better part of a year and a half to 2 years. And Lelouch is another really super strong player. Not only good at Rise of Nations, but also a really good Rocket League player as well. So very talented across several different games. But yeah, Lelouch is super solid player, always been really good and super experienced too. So he's one of those guys that, if you've got him in your team, you know that you can sit back and just rely on him to get things done, give you the confidence to, protect the rares and, raid their rares and just play really smart. So I'd say Lelouch is just rock solid, ultimate team player. And then I guess as you go down the list, so we've got Ayuzaki. Ayuzaki is, another really experienced player, and I've talked about him before during different casts, but he is like the strategic guru. He's so smart, this guy. He plays a lot of chess outside of Rise of Nations, and I've said this before, but in Rise of Nations, it's almost like watching a chess player play because he sits there and analyzes the game and thinks, okay, I need to put my city here, and that's going to cause them to split up, and if we double them here, I remember playing games with this guy before, and we've played against, players that are much more skilled than us. And then finally, when we go into battle Ayuzaki will be like, oh no, we should build our cities here and double this guy and double that guy and build a tower here, and suddenly you can upset the odds, and I'm always in awe of that. So I'd say, look, purely on a speed mechanics point of view, Ayuzaki might not be as good as some of the PLA guys, but more than makes up for it with his brain and with his strategy.
Okay, and yeah, that's
And
so yeah, and please
I know,
continue. Language of
and then
trees.
yeah, and so language of trees, definitely not least, but last but not least, language of trees, also known as Shibakuzo. Yeah, a great emerging player as well in our roster, and so glad to have him on the team. He's another player who has just kind of grown and grown this last 6 months in his skill. Always been really solid player, but I know he's been practicing super hard these last couple of weeks, and he's got a family of his own, 2 kids, so I know he's got a lot of sacrifice to get that practice in and play well. But yeah, really happy to see Language of Trees in this roster tonight. He can definitely mix it with the best, and exciting to see how he goes.
All right, and yeah, in response to Young One's comment, yes, very soon we will be putting up face cams in the stream, probably after the quarterfinals, and also we are planning for now that after the semifinals we may have some post-game interviews of players. So for that we may use cams as well, just not for the preliminary rounds. And David's calling in Gale. Nice one, David. You got him there. And last one. So we are going for the prize pool. Just as we are going here, I would like to thank everybody who has donated. And we've got a 180 and a 20 donation from, I think it's from Nakakazu. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean Nakagazu has donated. I think he said on behalf of our clan, but I can assure you that was all Nakagazu. Super generous guy, and wow, I can't believe I'm still in shock, but we really really appreciate it. Thank you for helping our community.
And then we've got Raul Henriquez, which is Let Blast. He has donated in, on behalf of all the all the lats.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
believe, and that was definitely on behalf of all the LAT team. So yeah, unlike Nakakazu, who just kind of did it on behalf of us with his own money, I know LAT Blast collected. I think they all donated and got together, and we really appreciate it too. And obviously, we much love to the LAT guys.
yes, and I'm not sure if Let Blast paid it all by himself or if it's I mean if he did crowdfunded, but yeah, as far as I know, he said he's just donating from the lads. And if Blood Blast is seeing this, or if he watches this video later, he can comment on it and just let us know. And then we've got Cypher, who generously donated $100, man. 100 for somebody who was not even playing in the tournament at the last one. That's quite generous, and we would like to thank him for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Cypher. Very generous, and yeah, huge amounts. I was expecting people to donate $5, $10. That stereotypical. I just assume there'd be a lot of people who play this game who may not have huge jobs outside of work, like have a heap of money to throw around. But geez, people are really digging into their pockets and supporting what we're doing here. So we appreciate it, guys. It's all obviously going straight back to the prize pool. So just gives us a little bit extra incentive to work harder and make this tournament as good as it can be.
Yes, and only thanks to you all for your contribution, we have been able to push forward this tournament. We have tried to organize it really well, but again, a prize pool just makes it more serious and something to fight for, right? So thanks to all of our donors. We are still accepting donations, and if you guys are interested, if you just want to give it for Nomadium or for future tournaments, yes, please donate on this page. The link should be mentioned on the tournament page, and for that the link is in the description.
Yep, absolutely, guys. So any contribution is most welcome. But yeah, obviously those that can afford to donate, please donate. And if you're short on money, just enjoy the games. And the best thing you can do is just share this with your any friends that you think might be interested, and just get the word out.
All right, and I think now we are ready to start our recorded replays. What do you say?
Absolutely. I think everyone's waiting for this. So yeah, I don't see any reason that we can't get straight into it.
All right. So the first game, as far as I know, was a drop. So we are going to start directly from the second one.
Yeah, that's correct. So, just so everyone knows, with the rules of this tournament, look, essentially, if there is a drop game, there's a process in place, and there was a drop originally of about I think 15 minutes into the game. It was looked at by the referee and ultimately decided that there was no obvious advantage for either team, and under that scenario, there was a rematch. So effectively, the match we're about to cast is the first match of the best of three series.
All right. And just before we start, FC Bob is asking who is fireman, and this also brings us to a big error that we made in the last game. So we were assuming that Lat Kane, who played for Lat Team 1 and was an exceptional player, we were assuming that he is Lat Fireman. But
Yeah,
it turned out, yeah, please, you continue, let us know what is this.
so that was the big mystery. Was we all thought, Lat Fireman, who is this guy? He was playing as Red last night in that match of Lat 1 versus Lat 4. It turns out we have spoken to the captain of Lat 1, which is Inca, and Inca basically advised us that no, that was actually Quetzalcoatl, which is also known as Noob Saibot, was his old name. And I believe, yeah, it kind of took us all by surprise because everyone saw how well, that player, Lat Kane, played last night, and everyone thought this must be this unknown guy, this fireman. Who is this fireman guy? But no, it was a false alarm. Kane is not fireman. Kane is actually Quetzalcoatl, and so therefore we still are yet to see what fireman's capable of. But I have heard from Inca, and Inca did say that Coco's traveling at the moment, but fireman will hopefully play potentially in the next match. So anyone that's a Lat fan, stay tuned because we may see fireman coming to your screens soon.
All right, and I'm starting the game one. And yeah, just for everybody's notice, Kane will be playing as Lat Kane for this whole tournament. So I think one of them is going either, so probably the Quetzalcoatl name on the website for the tournament registration is going to be changed. And Kron, I am at the 3-second mark. I'm ready when you are.
All right, I'm at the 3-second mark too. So let's count it down and then let's get this game started.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so game one of AZ2 versus PLA1. As we said in the intro, this is set to be an awesome match. And the first thing I'm excited about seeing here is if you look at the map, we are playing our first match of the tournament that we're casting on Aussie Outback.
Oh yes, so this is Aussie Outback. Aussie Outback is, I mean, a lot of players would like to compare it with Watering Hole, but I think it's nothing like Watering Hole. It has all the benefits of Watering Hole, like the water, the sea, the fishes, the wealth, but it does not have that intense battle of Watering Hole. So it can easily escalate into a big booming game, like a kind of game that easily goes till Enlightenment Age or even further.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is my favorite map, and it's not just because I personally am Australian. It's because this map is just awesome for seeing some epic matches. You've got the fish, and fish always means that it's going to be an exciting game because you've got that food and gold coming in, which really accelerates the whole match. And I mean, but beyond that, you've got so many different rare resources. You've got this battle for all the different mountains. You've got plenty of trees. You've got all these interesting scenarios that can happen. It's just like the best map ever, and I'm so pumped to see what happens.
Yeah, and Dave says this map puts him to sleep. Well, I have no idea why. Why would that be? This is not that inactive a map. It's still quite interesting to play with it. Let's quickly go to the nations. Go through the nations. On AZ side, we've got Lelouch as Lakota. Easily one of the strongest nomad nations and one of the fastest to start the game as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Lakota, a great kind of nation to have because not only are they so fast, but you can do sneaky things like build barracks behind their bases, build cities right in front of them, get map control. And I think this is the first match in the tournament that we've seen Lakota play as well. So Lakota always brings a different dynamic to it, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Oh yes, and then we've got Americans, Language of Trees. I played with Language of Trees yesterday, and he was quite a decent player. I mean, he was in my team, and we were owning our side easily. So I would say he can be, yeah, he can really help as a flank. I mean, in the pocket. And Americans are again another great nation for Nomad. The free government and the instant wonder is in itself too good to be true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if we look at yellow, then Ayuzaki at the top of the AZ team. They're basically this match is going to turn into East versus West. You've got the three players on the left versus the three players on the right, and you've got the Greek nation here. And so, as far as Greeks go, I feel like Greeks are one of those kind of slowish nations in the early game. But as long as I guess a tip for new players is if you ever play as Greek, the biggest thing you can do is, especially on water maps, just keep building scholars. Just keep on building them, and just slowly let your technology advantage kind of roll into the late game, because they can be really, really fearsome once you get that knowledge income coming in, and you can get to age 3 and age 4, a good 5 minutes before anyone else.
Oh yes, easily. I mean, as you said, Greeks can be a little slow in the ancient age, but they are the fastest civilization to reach the medieval age. And that medieval attack is sometimes enough to like get your opponent off their feet, because everybody ages to classical age about the same time, but medieval age, then well, that's a big mark, and a lot of players are a little delayed compared to Greeks. So a well-planned attack as Greeks in medieval age can easily decimate any other civilization.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so let's talk about the PLA guys now. So we've got, at the top here, we've got Mouse, one of the oldest and arguably one of the best Nomad players there is, playing as the Persian nation. We've got Red TNO playing as the Aztec player on the right-hand side, and then finally at the bottom, right up close to the Lakota city, actually, we've got Timeless, who's playing as Iroquois.
Right, and and when here it looks like, if you look at the progress for both white and yellow, it looks like white is a little ahead. He's got the library. He's even researching commerce, while the Greek player is just putting down a library. But this is again, as we said, that Greeks tend to be a little slow in the beginning, and the fact that this is a water map, the yellow player Rizaki is going to be fishing a lot. Then I assume he will have both of his libraries full very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we can just see that a pause appears to have gone down.
Oh yes.
But I believe it's back now, so all good. But yeah, look, I think the storylines of this game will be, if we have a quick look at these rares, there's so many different rares on this map. The PLA players have Papyrus, which is like Pappy is very useful and very handy if you want to go for, some early science, maybe get Science 2, Science 3 before you get to Age 2. They've also, looks like they should be able to secure this diamonds in the middle of the map as well, depending on how the cities play out here. And
Well,
I think the only thing that
I
could
wonder if they can see it. Oh yeah, they can probably see it. But you're right. It's very important for them to secure this diamond.
Yeah, I mean they've just scouted it, so yeah, a bit of a lucky break there. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out if they do secure that diamonds and go on to get that 10% economic advantage for the rest of the game. But then if you look on the left-hand side of the map, you can see that the AZ guys. We'll just check if they scouted that silk or not. Yeah, they have scouted the silk, and that silk is another really, really good rare on this map, because with the fish and relatively safe fish at that, getting to Commerce 2 before you go Age 2 is a really, really good move. And to be honest, that's my preferred kind of technology choice, especially if you've got silk in the situation.
Oh yeah, definitely, and especially on Aussie Outback when you've got a lot of fishes and you are never out of wealth and gold. Perfectly. And yeah, looks like Timeless has already started his aggression. First move is to get commerce and military, and it looks like against that the Lakota player is slightly slower. I was expecting him to be much faster as Lakota, but he's just lost 2 villagers, and he really needs to fight back, else it's going to be bad for him for the rest of the game. Who do you think Red is going to join? Purple or okay, I think I've got my answer already.
Yeah, if you look at those villages, it looks like they're walking around suspiciously, getting ready to build their second city there. But I guess we'll soon find out for sure. But yeah, look, I think that's a decent spot to build the second city because Lakota is normally stronger when the main base is further away and they're not under direct pressure. But you can see that the purple's rating right now is actually really strong. Making those Lakota citizens run away and even getting looks like maybe one or two kills here. We'll see if he can save them or not. But every time you can kill a citizen of Lakota, you're not only killing the citizen, but you're killing the 4 food income that they bring in as well. So
Oh
some really
yes.
good pressure here.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. Lakota villagers are their are their resources, the collectors and the resource itself. So it's a big deal if you kill a Lakota villager. And meanwhile, just pointing out the city position of Language of Trees, if you can see here, he's next to Sugar, and I think that may not have been the best decision. He should have placed the city more close to the Sugar because of course Sugar is one of the best rares in this game and it should be secured.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sugar is probably, in my mind, probably the best rare in the game, if not, second or third best, depending on what you're trying to do. And yeah, I think, building that city next to that Sugar, I guess it's hard to see in hindsight if his border was able to push that close. But yeah, always good if anyone new is kind of watching this and just wanting to, dip their toe into the water of playing Nomad games. Always try and, secure those rares by building the city right next door to it because it makes it so much harder to raid.
Yes, right now it looks like unless of course Language of Trees towers it, it's going to be a big raiding ground for Red, the and Aztec player, and you know what Aztec players like the most, it's raids. So yeah, you got to be very careful with this. And looks like White. If you see Mouse's city, the second city, he's got Furs right there. So Furs with Pappy is an awesome combination, no doubt about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if he goes Science 2 before Age 2 here using that Pappy, or if he goes straight for Age 2 and just tries to get a quick military attack out there.
Yeah, and Rizaki has started his raids, a great takedown of the merchant on Die. And just quickly overviewing the rare resources again on the plus side, they've got horses, Pappy, Diamond, Die, Furs, Peacocks, and Obsidian. Well, that's a really overpowered set of rare resources. If I had all these in a game, I wouldn't ask for anything more.
No, exactly. I mean, it's funny how, sometimes you think you've got the best rares and then you look across the map and the other team has everything else that's on your wish list. And so I think, neither team necessarily has an overwhelming rare advantage here. But I mean, I think importantly, it's going to come down to, this Sugar and this Die, the diamonds on both sides of this mountain in the middle of the map. And I guess whether they can secure them or not.
Yeah, and TNO, as I said, TNO is raiding the Sugar. He just got one of the archers from Blue. And just something to note for beginner players, if you're ever against Aztecs, never give them free kills. Because free kills for them is not just a loss of a unit for you, but there's plunder for them. And you should not be giving away that, because Aztecs thrive on plunder. That's all they get. Meanwhile, just pointing out some funny banter going on in the in the chat. Sergio calling Ind Octave and Bob the best players in the run. And all right.
Well, I think
and I guess we got Prolays in the chat as well. All right.
Welcome, guys. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what time it is right now. I know it's late night in Australia. It's early morning in America, so I'm going to make an assumption that it's early afternoon in Europe right now.
Yeah, very likely. And just look at that barracks at the back of PLA base. Can you see that from Lelouch?
Yeah, I can. Yep. And back barracks there here doing. Obviously got the potential to do some really good raids. You can see that there's a heavy infantry and archers walking around the bottom, and you've also got Ayuzaki with heavy infantry. So a lot of pressure on these merchants of the PLA guys. I'm sure I saw a few 98 Are the Humanity taunts thrown by the PLA guys earlier in this game, and obviously those raids causing some frustration.
Right, and I feel that barracks is placed little too close to the border, because as soon as Purple researches Civic 2 or he gets a temple, this barracks is going to receive attrition. It may even get bribed later in the game. So I guess it may have been better to place it behind the trees, just so that it's hidden throughout the game and he can use it whenever he wants to. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those situations where, yeah, it's always better to place it a little bit further away just to make it, survive a bit longer. But I guess maybe Lelouch was thinking, you know what, this barracks is really just for raiding. And once he gets to the point of the game where he wants to start building that army up, he might actually end up raising it anyway and just relocating it to somewhere a bit closer. So, yeah, look, I think you're right, though. A little bit further away would have probably been preferable there.
Alright, and Serge says that it's so stupid to put barracks behind unless you are going for a rush. Well, I don't know, if you have got a really nice economy, meanwhile you keep raiding him from behind, I don't think that's a bad move.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, just an interesting thing to point out now. So if you look at the red player TNO, TNO is playing as Aztecs, and he's gone for the Commerce 2 before Age 2 type technology, and only finally getting his Age 2 now. So already got an economy of 140 wood, 140 food, and over 100 gold. So as the Aztec player, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and assume he's probably going to start putting on some serious heavy pressure once he gets his mines up and running and starts to build some units.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I would like to bet that he is going to go for despotism. Do you want to bet $50 right now? I'll take it from the prize pool.
Oh look, I would yeah, I think that's probably a fairly safe bet, but at the same time, mostly I think that's the case because I know TNO is a very aggressive player. Having played with him before, he's probably the guy that goes despot the most out of anyone. So I'm going to be watching his government and seeing what he goes with great interest. But no, I'll decline that bet, thank you.
Oh man, damn it. And it looks like, yeah, and it makes perfect sense for Aztec player to go Despot, because Aztecs, again, Aztecs don't thrive on a big economy, they thrive on that plunder. And thanks to that despotism, they will make sure they can always raid their enemy even if they get attrition, and that plus 15 plunder is always a book bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing, I don't know if we've touched on this or not, but yeah, with Language of Trees, as the American team obviously got the Colossus down, which builds instantly, and Americans with Colossus, I think we talked about it in a match earlier in the tournament with that was EL versus AS, and look, they just start to get a bit scary once Americans with Colossus start to get some units out. The Americans, for those that don't know, they get +3 resources of food, timber, metal, and wealth for every barracks unit they build, and that really starts to add up after a while.
Right, and I would have to commend the AZ team because they have been very consistent with their raids. I guess Light Blue's cover may have, Blue's cover may have been blown. I think Lelouch, no, not Lelouch, Timeless is he is predicting there to be a base behind his back because he's got his senator and some units right next to Pappy.
Yeah,
and
obviously.
I think he's going to find out about that very soon.
And you can see that he still hasn't scouted it, but Lelouch has the stable now as well. And yeah, as you said before, they're quite close to the border here, so a little bit at risk if he builds a city that's backwards to get bribed or destroyed by the territory. Mm-hmm. But for now, they look like they're okay.
And awesome teamwork by these guys. Look at that. Lelouch is raiding red. Meanwhile, light blue and yellow, they are going to double mouse here. And oh my god, they almost got his senator. And looking at Plum Mouse's army, I don't think he's in a position to defend by himself. He will need help from TNO, who, by the way, has just reached his senator. So okay, I am so happy I did not take that bet with you. You just lost $50, man.
Jeez, thank God for that. I mean, well, for you anyway. Yeah, I wish I had that $50, but I think betting on TNO to go senator is like betting on Donald Trump winning the presidency. You know, it does happen, but you don't expect it to happen. And if we look right now, we've got, geez, you know, some good pressure here from Ayuzaki.
Oh
and,
my God! Can you look?
Trees.
Are you looking at the third city of TNO, which is just being destroyed? These guys are playing fantastic here.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
just
You
got
can see that
destroyed,
catapult.
and meanwhile, Lelouch is making sure that Timeless doesn't go the other side to help, and he is mounting pressure. He's sieging his barracks. Man, this is awesome play. And yeah, as just as we were talking about in the beginning, Lelouch's back base is being destroyed by the third city of Timeless.
Yeah, just like we talked about, I guess. So, you know, it was probably bound to happen. It wouldn't have mattered where he built that racks and that stable, because, you know, based on that city, he's got territory going all the way to the ocean now. But yeah, look, obviously, I think it's a good move by Timeless. You don't want that barracks and that stable to sit there for too long, because it just becomes too annoying. You can't secure that Pappy, and yeah, it just gets rid of the threat.
Right, and I just want to give focus to Dave's comment. Dave said that despotism is good if you are rushing, but again, some players just go on a suicidal mission, and absolutely agree with that. If you are a despot, you need to keep mounting pressure. Make sure the opponent does not boom, because you're not booming, so he should not be booming either. And you can have a pretty good advantage if you keep pressure, but once you let your opponent survive, maybe let's say till gunpowder age, now that's when you start feeling the pain of going despotism, because that's when it does not make any more sense. Now you've got better government upgrades available in gunpowder, and yeah, it's clearly not the safest choice, but if you can make the best use out of it, like if you have an ally with an aggressive nation and you both agree on a double, yeah, you can kill easily with
Yeah,
this
absolutely. And you can see that yeah, Purple's just reached age 3. Really close call, actually. I was just watching you know, Purple playing as Timeless. He had the age 3 researching, and Lelouch was sieging his library, and the library nearly died just before the research finished. But look, it has gone through. That would have been yeah, quite annoying if I was Timeless, and you know, you lose your library just before you get to age.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it looks like Purple does not have a lot of army. Can you see? He just has 2 bowmen inside. Meanwhile, looks like the other side is going to win theirs. TNO is just going to medieval age, but he does not have enough time to rest back and wait for upgrades. He's just going to go for it and save mouse while he can right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're just trying to make sure that, you know, they've got a lot of units here, mouse and TNO, and it looks like this early pressure from the AZ guys, white, blue, and yellow. Yeah, just not quite enough units there. You know, a lot of archers just firing at them, and obviously the Aztec, what's the unit name there? The Attles, the light infantry. You know, really coming in to form a good tandem there. And how many archers does Mouse have?
Oh man, he has only archers and heavy cavalry, which I would argue is the best combination in this game. And especially on Aussie Outback, when you've got so much of gold wealth coming from the fishes, yeah, you can afford that.
Yeah, and I like the look of those, you know, those archers, or, you know, crossbowmen for the Persians. They look kind of like thugs, you know, wearing their hoodies.
Oh yeah.
Like look like absolute ballers just coming in, and you know, you can see they're healing up, they're chilling, they're having fun, and yeah, look, there's just so many of them that almost becomes a bit scary, because you've got to get a critical mass of cavalry to even try and get a chunk of those archers, or sorry, crossbowmen. Now that they've been upgraded. Yeah.
And Dave says crossbowmen need nerfing. Well, yeah, their crossbowers are clearly strong units in medieval age, but after gunpowder age, I don't think a lot of people make them, just because arquebusiers are a much better choice, and they don't even cost wealth.
Yeah, and some awesome raiding going on in the background here. I just wanted to call that out. You can see blue has some, you know, archers and heavy infantry constantly raiding rares around the whole map. You can see that, you know, the copper that the guys had at the back of their bases has just been destroyed again. And this is a really close match so far. Like, to be honest, I don't really know in what direction this is going to go.
Yeah, and on either side, I would like to appreciate the Iroquois nation, because they're just not fighting a war. They also make sure they fight in style. Because look at those Mohawk haircuts. They are clearly the coolest haircuts any unit has in this game, and they should be given extra fashion points for that, definitely.
That's it. I mean, just because, you know, what age is this at the moment? It's the medieval age. Just because it's a long time ago doesn't mean they couldn't have been cool back then. You know, you still need to be fashionable, and yeah, well, these guys really turning it on for the audience right now.
All right, and it looks like it's the Pla's turn for aggression. And just comparing the economies, it's very close right now. And although I would say Ruzaki has got the third science upgrade, and he's also got the literacy upgrade, so he is a little more advanced than Mouse. But Mouse has got the third military, and I assume he has a castle. And there comes the tactics upgrade. Now it's up to Ruzaki to quickly get the castle and the next military upgrade, or else he's going to be fighting at a uphill battle. By the way, Language of Trees is also that's not a big army, and especially against Aztecs, we want to make sure you fight as many successful battles as possible. And this looks like a losing battle for Language of Trees. If Tieno pawns this army, he's going to get a lot of plunder, man.
Yeah, that is dangerous, and you know, that's another thing it is tricky to play against Aztec, because you know, anyone that likes to play Rise of Nations, you like to, you know, hold your own. You don't want to run away. Sometimes when you play Aztec, you just have to do that, because what you want to do is just sit back and just mass your army, and then suddenly just go in and just wipe them out in one cruel foul sweep. And I mean, you just don't want to donate units like here and there, because you know, as Aztecs get through the ages, that plunder bonus just, you know, doubles and triples, and once you get to Gunpowder Age, it just becomes plain scary. So they just need to be very, very careful about, you know, losing units to the Aztec player, and I'd recommend just sitting back and waiting and massing up that Colossus army, because you don't have population limit to restrict you.
All right, get your focus here on light blue's capital. Oh my God, and it is taken.
Oh my God, that is huge.
And
yeah.
And Timeless came with all he got. He got all his militia as well.
Wow, what a move by Timeless. That is absolutely insane. God, Timeless has really pulled out all stops here. What a brilliant move. I mean, getting that cap sack there, even if you have to rebuild all your citizens again, that's absolutely brilliant. And, you know, this could potentially swing the whole match in the favor of PLA.
Yeah, definitely. And looks like Language of Trees is going to help him. I guess he will probably save him. But, well, still. And I'll have to also give some credit to Lelouch. He has been raiding constantly at some point or the other. Right now he has archers at TNO's base, so that's good teamwork. Yeah. I mean, I don't think this game is still out of hand, except that Lelouch is going to be at disadvantage, and the other side needs to kill first. But if you look at Ruzaki's library, he's close to aging.
Yeah, and that's what we need to watch here. I mean, if Aryuzaki gets to age 4 much quicker than the PLA guys, he's going to be in a position to, you know, potentially swing back that side and, you know, get cannons and really retake it. As we see, you know, the capital does get retaken by the AZ guys, so starting to stabilize here. But and it'll be interesting to see how damaged Purple is. I mean, Purple's economy, he pulled a lot of citizens for that militia attack there, and you know, his economy's hurting a bit. He doesn't have much food income coming in.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there comes TNO to help him. And well, TNO also seems to be ready for the gunpowder raid, but his economy is not as good. I mean, what I would consider from somebody who has got a senator upgrade instead of a despot. And well, that's another disadvantage of senator. Do you see all that attrition that they're facing? And even Timeless was facing all that attrition, and he was. I mean, Timeless was extremely lucky that he could take that city. But if he did not take that city, he would have lost all his army, mostly to attrition, and that would have turned the tides against him completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like this. You know, you can see that Language of Trees has put a castle in the middle of the map here. I really like that positioning, just slowing down movement for the PLA guys. But you know, Red and Purple just going hard on this capital here for Blue. They're trying to take Makasika, and they're doing a good job. They're getting close to it. So, just it'll be interesting to see if the American player here can rotate fast enough, get enough troops out, and blunt this attack.
Oh yes, definitely, and it's all up to language of trees. He has the highest score in his team, and I mean, yeah, I think he will be able to save him. It's just that I would say Ruzaki, it's a bad choice to have your capital up front.
Yeah, I believe that was Lelouch actually. Blue
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Lakota.
Lelouch. You're right. It's a bad choice to have the capital so much in front. And I mean, even if you think that you are going to nail your opponent, just to have it behind safeguards is against any surprise attacks.
Yeah, I agree. I think always having your capital at the back is preferable unless you're doing an all-in type rush where you're despot maybe and you just want to have in case your despot dies, it's a little bit closer to come back. But yeah, otherwise, I'm always a huge fan of, just play it safe, build it back, because there's nothing worse than losing your front city and then losing the game because you can't retake it.
Right, and Ruzaki seems to be ready for Gunpowder Age. I guess he's going to, and he's attacking the right city because the other city, the Susa, is kind of between red and like very close to red, so red can help easily to save Susa. But the other city, even though it has the castle, it's going to be a big detour for red to come and help Mouse there. And I have to comment Ruzaki in this game as well. He's been playing marvelously. He has been he has been toe to toe with Mouse, and who is easily one of the best players in Nomad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of living up to the hype I gave Ayuzaki, which he's such a smart player. He's always playing this like chess. Actually, as we say this though, White is coming down.
Oh my God! No! That's not good. And I mean, that's not good for the AZ team. And if the Pla team pulls this off, that's going to be GG, because Pla City, even though it's being attacked, it's still fairly protected. It has a castle, it has 2 towers.
Yeah, exactly. And what a genius move here by Mouse. So let's give it the credit it deserves. Bringing down his whole army here. If they can manage to take this blue capital, and he might lose his own city and lose a bit of his economy, but at the end of the day, he'll still be alive. And if they can somehow make this, force Ayuzaki to come back, then ultimately it's going to work out in PLA's favor, because they've got a player being Lelouch on the rocks here. His cap is under so much pressure, doing a great job to hang on here. But, geez, there's 3 players going at him right now.
Oh yeah, and those 2 towers are really very well placed. They're going to help him not get. Yeah, that's a nice one. And Blue is also using spies. By the way, just something I noticed that we didn't talk about yesterday, and you won't believe it if you have not seen it. The back of the base, right behind Forbidden City. Can you see it?
Yeah. Whereabouts? Yep.
There is silver that the AZ team does not know about.
Oh yeah, and you can see that the PLA know about it because they've got a heavy infantry just sitting there.
Oh man, so, not knowing about silver is a big bummer.
Wow, and you look at their fog of war and they just can't see it. But PLA, I wonder if they will sneak a merchant in there and try and use it themselves, because that would be a real slap in the face for anyone on the AZ team right now.
Right, and look at that. I mean, they survived the 3 versus 2 here, and now it's all up to Ruzaki to quickly finish this game, and it looks like he can do it, because Mouse doesn't have a big enough army. He has fortified this city very well, but I do not think he'll be able to. And meanwhile, Language of Trees is mounting pressure on TNO to make sure he does not go back and save Mouse. So that's really nice play by this team. I mean, I would say AZ has shown one of the best teamworks in this game.
Yeah, really good play. And you can see a big engagement between Mouse and Ayuzaki here near Mouse's front city. And one thing that's really in Ayuzaki's favor is these heavy cavalry. I mean, Greek heavy cavalry, they're up there with French as the best heavy cavalry in the entire game. Almost impossible to kill. And, as we said, Greek are a slow nation to start with, but once they start to get to this kind of setting in the game, that's when they really start to hum. And, that technology really comes to the forefront.
Yes, you're right. And that city, that Hamadan, is barely covering the force, so I don't think Ryuzaki knows about the force that's behind the city. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think he does either. And I mean, yeah, we'll just have to see how the army progresses here, but just trying to take down that castle first. And yeah, look, I'm starting to get the only thing going in, for PLA at the moment. They've got the Aztec player who's now in gunpowder, and as I said earlier, gunpowder Aztec, that starts to get scary because in gunpowder age, often what you do is you trade armies a lot. Everyone's got a big army. You're trading units a lot, and every time you trade units, basically Aztec is collecting, checks every single time someone gets killed.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
checks get bigger and bigger. They're getting 60 plunder every unit, and that just goes to whatever you don't have the most of. So it almost becomes this infinite kind of spam that you can just throw out there. So I'd like to see the AZ guys just try and sit back and strategize a bit and try and just get a big double on that Aztec army and take it out in one big go.
Yes, that's right. And but the thing is that the language of trees is against 2. Lelouch is helping there, but he is an age behind. But he's making up for that using spies. He just bribed 2 heavy knights.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant play there by Lelouch. I've said it before, but spies are the best unit to use, especially if you're behind or if your economy is a little bit low, because you can get so much use out of them. And it's psychological warfare too. Everyone hates to have their units bribed. Sure, you lose your unit, but it just really frustrates you as well. So yeah, excellent play there. I love the spies.
And looks like Ryuzaki has got the 4th military upgrade. He's doing the operations upgrade, which means he'll now have a +6 armor. Mouse is already at a disadvantage, and with that extra armor, now I think Ryuzaki is going to nail Mouse here. It's all down to whether Ryuzaki kills Mouse faster than TNO and Timeless killing the other side.
Yeah, it's increasingly looking like it might be almost like a base trade scenario here. Ryuzaki looking really, really strong on Mouse here, and interesting to see the technology. I'm not sure if you've got this up, but you can see Ryuzaki with the research of the new government. And what do you think the best government to go for here is?
For Ryuzaki?
Yeah, for the yellow player, Ryuzaki.
For the AZ players, I mean, it's easily predictable to get monarchy because the Greeks have those really nice cavalry. For Mouse, well, he does not have any. So Mouse is doing that herbal lore upgrade. Can you see that? And that's something most of the players ignore. They don't know how important that is. That upgrade gives you faster production of units, and especially when Ryuzaki is going to get a monarchy, he's going to have faster production of forces anyway. Mouse is seriously going to need that lore upgrade.
Yeah, I think definitely that herbal lore is something that's overlooked. But as we see, the game's starting to progress. Red has a huge army. The Aztec army, as I said before, has reached that critical mass where it just becomes plain scary to play against. And it looks like that early pressure on blue and all that pressure against that city is really kind of taken its toll here. And there's just not enough units for the blue player as well as the American player here. So light blue and blue, the alliance of blues, they're looking like they're slowly starting to lose kind of map control here and momentum as well.
All right, and red is going for light blue's capital. I hope you can see this, and this is big. Yes. Because on one side, Mouse's capital has been lost, and I'm sure Ryuzaki will have to come back to save his friends, or it's going to be really bad.
Yeah, and the best thing for the AZ guys right now is that Lelouch was able to move his capital back to that city with the pyramids, and those pyramids are really coming in handy at the moment. Mouse is definitely still got a lot of units, so he's not completely out of it. He's still got an army sitting behind his city, and he's got that castle there. So he has to tread carefully here. He has got the monarch, and I believe he does have the armor upgrades too. So, he probably has enough resources here to take a good swipe at this Greek army. But, geez, yellow Ryuzaki has a lot of units there, and Ryuzaki is looking like he's in control.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Ryuzaki, I would be in a very tensed condition right now. I wouldn't know. Maybe quickly take down that castle, repair that city, and run back to save your ally.
Oh, and sorry to interrupt, but if you look at Light Blue's capital, that is under a lot of pressure right now. Washington has the
Oh,
Colossus. This is a pretty huge moment in the game too. You can see the militia pool here, but it looks like Light Blue does not have really any units left. And the thing is, every single time one of those citizens dies, the militia, the huge plunder bonus going to the Aztec player, just constantly feeding him. And yeah, look, obviously red is humming along right now, and already population cap 109 of 110 units.
oh my God! And looks like the capital is taken. Mouse will still die earlier, but I just don't know if it's worth that, because the weakest player right now in the AZ team is Lelouch, and if his capital was taken, I guess it would be fine, because Language of Trees, Ruzaki they have boomed a lot. But the fact that Language of Trees capital has been taken, now Ruzaki is mostly on his own.
And the scary thing here is that not only has the Aztec player TNO taken that capital, but he's also got the Colossus, and suddenly he can just spam out units. His population cap's now 160. It was 110 a moment ago. And plus he got the 500 plus all resources
And all
bonus
that plunder that he got from the militia, man, this is horrible for the AZ team.
If you look at Red's resources at the moment, he's got over, I think, 1,000 wood, 1,000 gold, 600 food, and 300 metal. So he's not even at full capacity. If he can spam out some units and get that population up to 130, it's going to be impossible to retake this capital.
And well, I guess Mouse is dying here for sure, and Language of Trees. Oh
well, it
man,
does look like
Ruzaki
Mouse has
lost
retaken his capital as well.
Yeah, Luzaki lost control of that city. That's so bad. Now Mouse is not going to die as fast as Language of Trees. Oh man, I feel so bad for AZ right now, because they got this easily, but just some stupid mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, far out, what a close call. But I mean, obviously they've retaken the capital now, but suddenly, look at the timers. There's, I'm not sure what the taunt is for check out the timer. Probably a good time if the PLA guys wanted to throw some acid right now. They'd be taunting that one, because they've got an extra minute until Mouse will actually get eliminated now, and that's really not looking good given how strong the Aztec player is with that Colossus.
Yeah, are you saying 1 minute or 3 minutes? Because I just see around 2.50 minutes for Mouse.
Yeah, so basically all I mean is that there's an additional minute between when Language of Trees will die
all right.
and when Mouse will. So if they can just hold off, wait till the Language of Trees taps out due to the timer, and then send all the units to save Mouse, there's probably no way back from that. And that 60-second window will be critical to see if they can kind of save Mouse and keep 3 players in the game.
Oh man, I feel. I mean, if I was Ruzaki, I would be saying like, damn it, you guys just hold. If you could just hold for 2 more minutes, I was killing here.
That's it. And I mean, obviously, I'd say Ayuzaki definitely the MVP on the AZ team for this particular match. But at the end of the day, it's a team game, and Lelouch, while Lelouch lost his capital, you cannot quantify how much value he really gave his team by doing all those raids early on.
Oh,
I mean, they killed
you're
so
right
many
about
merchants.
You're definitely right about that. And
Yeah.
I would say Language of Trees has played it really well too, because remember, he had to come back and help Lelouch. He was also 2 versus 1 for some time while Lelouch was recovering, so he's not played that bad either.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, I think really we just have to give full credit to Purple being PLA timeless, because playing as Iriki, it's a very aggressive nation, very fast units, and when you're playing against Lakota, and obviously he identified that Lakota was building that barracks and that stable behind his city, which means that it's less likely that he'll have the units at his front, and therefore he thought, okay, let's just go for it with the militia rush early on. Took a huge gamble, and it obviously paid off getting the cap sack.
Yeah, and let's look at TNO's army, man. That Colossus with Aztec plunder, that's nothing to joke around. There is no way Language of Trees is getting his capital back. I don't think if all of these 3 have their armies combined, they might still not be able to take TNO out.
Oh, I think, yeah, this was King Xerxes from the movie 300. He'd say, "This is blasphemy. This is madness," because there are so many Aztec units right now. There is absolutely no way that that capital is going to be retaken unless, literally TNO sat there and pressed the delete button and killed every single unit just for laughs, because I can't see any other way that any army is getting through that Aztec army right now with the Colossus.
Yeah, and well, I'll also have to give, I'll also have to say that PLA easily got the better rare resources out of the whole map. I mean, furs,
Yeah.
peacocks, dye, horses, diamonds, pappy. That's easily overpowered. And on AZ's team, they got few rare resources, and even in there, they did not discover silver. I guess that silver could have made a lot of difference. Imagine everybody aging a little earlier than they were. This could have changed the outcome of the entire game.
Or when we see that Mouse has been eliminated from the match, and that is, a huge obviously a huge thing for the AZ team here to have a chance, because it's no longer a 2v3, it's a 2v2, and Ayuzaki obviously doing exceptionally well on his side, taking out Mouse, who's known as one of the best players. But then you've got, Lelouch has been defeated, and Language of Trees. So yeah, it's not looking so good now. Let's be honest here. 1v2 versus one of those players being an Aztec player with what's his population count? 154 units out of 187 versus Ayuzaki has 91 units, and still a great army, but that's just the sheer difference right now. Yeah, this is looking like. If Ayuzaki was playing chess right now, like he normally does, he'd be thinking, someone's just put his queen right next to his king and he's almost checkmate.
Yeah, the game is over here. Hirizaki is still trying to get that capital just for, I don't know, just for the sake of having some fun with whatever army he has left.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking, you look at PLA TNO here. I mean, you often associate, Chinese with, they have the one-child policy, but huge population here. It looks like there's plenty of units going around, and yeah, look at Athens. It's slowly going down here. It's going to burn down, and it looks like PLA will be victorious in this first match.
Oh yeah, and PLA have got this game. Man, really an outstanding match. One of the best I have seen throughout this tournament.
Yeah. This has been an amazing match. This is what it's all about. And the matches so far, the quality's been so high. But I have to say, this is probably my favorite match to cast so far, because just you can see that even match of skill here. Like two great teams going at it, and yeah, ultimately it just came down to a few kind of brilliant moves by both teams that really swung the momentum in the favor of PLA.
Yeah, and Rizaki calls it the GG.
Yeah, hard to type GG. Hard to type GG after such a strong performance there, but yeah, look, the PLA guys get the honors. Wow, what an incredible match! I am so pumped to be watching this game. I love Rise of Nations, and I hope everyone else is enjoying this. This is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I cannot wait to cast the second game. This has been so exciting. Look at, if you go to military in the game stats, TNO absolutely nailed it. He has the most kills after Timeless. He has the most number of units, and after in the AZ team, it was Ryuzaki with the most number of kills. What a play! Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess you can see here, just the nature of Rise of Nations is that once you start to fall behind, you often can't trade your attacks that well. And yeah, Lelouch with the army stats there as well, obviously showing that he lost his army early on, doing all those raids, and then obviously losing his capital. It's just very hard to trade units effectively, and Aztecs taking full advantage. And hats off to Timeless. So I guess, can I ask you a question? I guess if you look at this match and say, what was the key turning point that you thought really decided this match? What would you say it would have been?
Oh yeah, man, I was going to ask you that same thing. So what I believe that when Timeless took the Lelouch's capital, and it forced Language of Trees to come here and help him, and then Lelouch became a kind of like a little paralyzed for the rest of the game. He was always trying to get back on his feet, but he was never given enough time. That's when the AZ team they started getting the disadvantage factor. And also not finding out silver, that was a big deal. With silver, imagine Ryuzaki already aged Gunpowder Age the first, I believe. Let me just check. Yes, he aged all medieval and gunpowder the first, and with that silver he could have reduced that time by maybe another 30 seconds or a minute. So that makes a lot of difference. If your opponent is a gunpowder age, maybe let's say 3 minutes before you, that means they get enough time to upgrade all their units and start sieging your cities. That could have easily turned this game upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's always easy to look back at this game now after it's finished and say, these are some things we could have done better. But obviously the players put on a great match and did their best with what they knew and what they had at the time. I'm sure they'll be watching this now and seeing that silver and thinking, oh, geez, what if we had spotted that, and what if we had towered it and had it for the whole match? But geez, I liked the fact that AZ went for those wonders. They had 2 out of the first 3 wonders there with the Colossus and the pyramids, and the Greek player obviously taking up really quickly. Honestly, overall, just came down to a few key things. Like you said, with that militia attack by by Timeless on the capital, that was a huge move, ballsy play, super risky, but obviously paid off for them. And then secondly, I think when Mouse rotated his whole army down, that was another incredibly risky play, but it seemed to really turn the momentum again further into the favor of PLA, because they were able to really consolidate and kill off Light Blue's big American army, and from that point forward it seemed like the bottom half they were always going to win, and Mouse almost sacrificed himself for the greater cause of PLA.
And that's what you're supposed to do in a team game. Awesome. Like absolute martyr. Rightly said. So yeah, let's begin with the second game. And there's Ryuzaki in the chat. He says he just saw the silver because of the stream. So maybe next time you should scout better and you will not be losing another game. Man, this was so close. That's why even I made a tutorial in the beginning when I just started this channel, and one of the things that I said in the tutorial is always send out a scout and leave it at auto scout mode. Hopefully if it doesn't die and it at least scouts all your own territory, that's good enough, so you don't miss out on any important rare resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that you can do. And yeah, it seems like it had scouted most of the map, but that particular patch was just inside the area that you can see, but you cannot see through the fog of, I'm not sure what you call that, the fog of war, that kind of like what the Spanish have. Anyway, they couldn't spot it, and that's life. Sometimes that happens in Rise of Nations. And if I was the AZ2 guys, I wouldn't be too upset, because what a hell of a match, and super close even down to the very end.
Oh yeah, definitely one hell of a match. So I just closed my game by mistake, so let me restart it.
Yeah, no problem. And guys, just take this opportunity. We're about to go into game 2 in a moment, but please spam the link to the YouTube channel to everyone in your Steam friends list, everyone on Facebook Messenger. It doesn't matter if they're just people that you used to go to school with. It doesn't matter if they're your parents. Everyone wants to watch this match. So just copy the link. Go in, spam it on Steam, spam it on Facebook, spam it on WhatsApp and everything else that you can think of, because we want to get the exposure out there. This is such an awesome match, and we don't want anyone to miss out.
Oh man, I'm enjoying casting this so much right now.
And the sick thing is, this is just like the round of 16, and the quality is already this high. Can you already think, what the matches are going to be like in the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and dare I say it,
man,
the grand finals?
It sends chill down my spine just when I think of what could be a semifinal or even a final game. Man, this was a really high quality game. I can't, if you were to ask me any specific mistakes that the players made, I cannot tell you right now, because they already played almost flawlessly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth mentioning too, language of trees in this game, playing as Americans, I think he's probably one of the more inexperienced players when it comes to, the big time matches, but I was really impressed. I thought he did a great job. You know, he was Americans, he got that Colossus down, and I believe he had the biggest economy going into that section where obviously PLA started to take that capital and get the momentum in their favor. And I mean, up until that point, I think he had the highest score in the match. So, you know, a great showing by him as well, and obviously as one of the newer players to the team. Yeah, it's really awesome to see him come out and put up a performance like that.
Yes, really, and I just can't wait to see these guys again and see what happens in the next game. So, are you ready for the replay number 2?
Yeah, I'm ready. So I've loaded the game up now, and I'm at the 3-second mark. So just count me down, and we'll get started.
Yes, just a second. I'm almost there. All right, I'm there at the 3 seconds mark. So let's do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Alrighty, let's go. And immediately we can see the most obvious thing here. We are on Mesa. How do you feel about that?
Oh man, Mesa again. It's going to be annoying. I mean, whatever we saw in Australian Outback, that was quite awesome. Now in this game, the terrain has a completely different role to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, often on Mesa, yeah, we've talked about it before, but you know, getting that city down at the beginning, sometimes it can be tricky because depending on where you spawn and where your villagers spawn, getting your citizens to build that city fast can be an issue. And then also with the trees, sometimes you can get big patches of trees, and other times you can get a complete kind of deserted section where you really get 1 or 2 trees, and you almost feel like, what did I do to deserve this? I'm screwed. But hopefully no players have that. Hopefully no players have that feeling at the moment. I can see already the green player Ayuzaki has spawned as the Turks here, and you know he actually had a spawn here where he had 2 citizens at the very top right of the map, but interestingly, he chose to build his city kind of closer to the center, and it should work out well for him because there are plenty of trees around that area. And I can just see in the chat, Ayuzaki has actually just said in game, he said, okay, nice tactics are possible this game. And I believe, obviously, the biggest reason he's probably saying that is because he's a chess player. Sorry, aside from the fact that he's a chess player, is that he's Turkish. And playing as Turks, it's the first time I think we've seen Turks in this tournament so far, so looking forward to this. But Turks, obviously, can you tell us a bit about what Turks' special powers are and, you know, their nation abilities and what we can expect from Ayuzaki in this game?
So based on what I saw Ryuzaki do in the last game, I would say if he plays just like that, he can maybe team up with Nakazaku on the purple side, and I think they can wreak havoc on the Persepolis, on Timeless, because Turks have got instant siege units whenever they make a siege factory. So 2 free siege units with an extra range, and their military research is also 33% cheaper. That accounts for a lot. They can deliver the fastest rushes that we can see in this game. Their militia rush is clearly the fastest that's even possible for any other civilization. And I guess with a proper coordination with Nakazaku, I don't think they have to worry about. They can easily finish this game within first 20 minutes at max.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, so if we look at the nations, we've got AZ here with China, Turks, and Spanish. And I'd say Chinese, you know, probably a middle of the range nation on this map. Always got their own strengths and weaknesses, but you know, strengths being, you know, they're quite fast, and you know, those cities are so big. But I guess they're, aside from those advantages, I guess there's their real benefit doesn't come until, you know, age 2. Is it age 2 or age 3 where they get the gunpowder units early?
Oh yeah, they get
age 3.
Age 3, right?
Yeah, of course, age 3 with the lancers. And then you've got purple here, Nakakazu, and also interesting to note that Nakakazu has subbed in here for the second match in the place of Language of Trees. Yeah, an interesting move, but I think you know, probably a good one. Probably a bit harsh on Language of Trees. He had a great game last game, but Nakakazu is such a good player that yeah, it's good to see him in the tournament and to see what he can do.
Yeah, and well, I don't know how good Nakagazu is compared to Language of Trees. I would say Language of Trees played really well last time, so he has a he must have high expectations. I mean, his teammates must have it, because yeah, they are expecting him to play just at least just as well as him. And why do you think the substitution was done? Was it a problem with availability, or do you think they they just our Language of Trees just didn't want to play anymore?
Well, I think this is when Rise of Nations really becomes similar to a sport because I think, when you play an intense game like that, the last match probably went for a good, 30, 40 minutes, and all the players, they've sweated, their hands are a little bit, tired, and, sometimes it's good just to throw some fresh kind of legs in there as a substitute. And I think Nakakazu is definitely, one of the top two or three players on this roster just in pure standalone skill. So easily fits into this roster, and I think it might have just been a case of, switch it up from a manager's point of view, throw in the fresh legs, and see what Nakakazu can deliver here. And it'll be exciting to see, whether it pays off or not.
Yeah, and just looking at the in an all visible view of the map, you can see that Timeless has still not got his library up, while here Nakakazu is researching commerce already. So he seems to be really ahead, and Lelouch is even more ahead. He's got his market down. This seems to be a great start for AZ.
I think both blue and purple, Lelouch and Lelouch and Nakakazu had really fast starts. Green, Ayuzaki had a really slow start because he had to walk so far. So you'll probably see that that rush won't be quite as fast for the Turkish player here. But having said that, yeah, it looks like Timeless being the red player here as Persians. The library's only just is quite delayed, I guess, and whether that's going to cause an issue or not will be interesting because that Turkish rush, even though Ayazaki's a bit delayed, all you have to do is build a couple of siege workshops and suddenly that's raining hell down on the opponent's capital.
Oh yeah, just let Nakazaku spam the heavy infantry. Spanish heavy infantry are awesome, and all Rizaki has to help him with this is with the siege and some units. And I just looked at the game stats and checked the ruin bonus, and well, Nakakazu being the Spanish player, he's got a lot of ruins. And I mentioned this before, if you remember in yesterday's cast, that Spanish have got a big advantage on this map just because they can see the whole map. They don't have to wait for their villagers to run into a mountain and then find a way around it. Because since they can see the whole map, it becomes easier for Spanish to just put all those checkpoints around the mountains, so the scouting becomes really smooth, and that helps a lot. And you can see that clearly in the game stats under economy. Nakazaku has gotten 295 ruins. That's the highest right now in the game, and AZ team has clearly got on average a better ruin income than the PLA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if we talk about PLA, so if we look at the other side of the map, we've got PLA with Mouse at the top left, really hidden away his capital right at the very left corner as the Inca player. When you're playing as Inca are one of those nations where they're really, really strong, but they're a little bit slow in the first age, and they really need to get that first classical age upgrade and get the mines down before their income really starts rolling in and they become really scary to play against. And this map obviously being Mesa, plenty of mines to go around, so there's going to be no shortage of mines for the Inca player. But yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see whether that being that slow means that Mouse can't really help his teammates so on. And if the AZ guys get together and form a good strategy here to do some kind of Turk rush, Inca's going to take a while to get that economy up and probably going to be slow to respond.
Yeah, and if I was in Rizaki's shoes right now, I would say it would not be a bad idea to just start with a military one instead of a commerce civic one. I mean, a commerce one and then a military one, so that you can still raid the red. Red is already slow, and with some raids from Rizaki, then he can slow him further down, and that gives these guys a perfect opportunity to go for that siege rush. And there's no doubt that in this game, PLA has got the better nations out of the two. Persians, Bantu, and Inca. A really good combination of nations here.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Spain obviously is great for your team because you can spot all the rares. but it's not the fastest of nations either. It's, aside from the ruin bonus and the visibility bonus, not a lot else going for them. So they really have to make use of that. The fact that they can see all the rares, get some good raids going. Obviously, make use of all the rares that they can secure themselves, and you can actually see here. Looks like those furs in the middle of the map are being used by both teams.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Who's going to raid it first? That's
Angelo has got his barracks down already, and he's going to raid it. And just for all the viewers, we want to say that TNO has been replaced with Angelo, probably because of some time issue. I think TNO is in America, right?
Yeah, TNO is in America. So yeah, most likely after that game one, it's obviously quite late for the time zone. So probably a good substitution there to keep the players fresh.
And I want to tell you all, Angelo is a marvelous player. I have no doubt he's not going to deteriorate the quality of this game. Clearly a good substitution by PLA, and look at that, he's towering the furs, and towering the furs against Turks. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, because towers are not the strongest things that survive against siege.
Yeah, exactly. Once those siege workshops go down, they'll be flinging rocks from a good, what seems like 200 meters away. So yeah, it's not going to take long to level that tower. But he's probably thinking, okay, at least we can secure it, get our mill 1 and mill 2 upgrades in place, and then see what happens once Turks really start to come to the front.
Yeah, and Ruzaki, if these guys could have held on to first, then a great strategy could have been to go military 2 before classical age. So that would mean that the moment he ages classical age, he has access to the siege, and he can just get a siege down and start sieging it. And that would be really cool, because that would give some plunder to Ruzaki, as well as Angelo would lose that tower, and that's a waste of resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just watching actually Ayuzaki's technology choice here. He is going for the mill 2 before H2 here. So I'm not sure if he can hear you when you're talking there, Jatin, but obviously didn't have the furs and can't get it quite as cheap, but still deciding to go for the
Well, he still got it 33% cheap, yet completely worth it. I am totally with him for his decision. And now it all rests up to Nakakazu to assist him, and while Ruzaki does the raid. And they've got Salt here on this side. Salt is clearly one of the best rares to have as Turks, because you can spam a lot of infantry with that. And looks like Lelouch here is on a booming spree. He wants to start with the Colossus. And being the Chinese player, it may not be a bad idea, just because it's hard to take down Chinese.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. The only reason, there's some situations I think maybe it might not be the best choice, because Colossus is a great long-term option, obviously. As the game wears on, it gets better and better. But the only situation I'd say maybe you wouldn't do that is if you got together and said, hey, let's go for an all-out rush, making use of that Turkish siege, which I believe it looks like Ayuzaki will do that, given that he went military 2 before H2. He probably will get quick siege here, and team up with purple here to see if they can put some pressure on red. But,
oh my god!
But still, I don't.
Oh yeah, please continue. No, there's nothing urgent. I have something.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, I just think that with that Colossus though, I've said it before. Colossus, incredibly useful. It only costs 200 wood, 200 gold. What a bargain! Everyone should just build it, right?
Oh yeah, of course. And it's better to get your Colossus instead of letting the Inca player get Colossus, because they can. They're too overpowered with Colossus. And just letting you know, Timeless may have dug his own grave right here. He's got the 3rd city against Spanish and Turks. And it all comes down right now to a good fast attack, and Timeless could be dead right now.
And you can see the tower. You see the towers trying to go down here on those barracks, but it's a bit of a race here, and it looks like Purple's building his own tower to kind of counter that. But you're exactly right. I mean, he's gone with the the advantages of his nation, which is being Persians. You get cheaper civic. You can get that 3rd city up much cheaper and much quicker. But the problem is, you don't want to be expanding your cities towards your enemy that close when you know that there's a Turk player just around the corner about to build, heaps of super long range siege that's just going to level it within seconds. So this is not looking good for Timeless's city at the front here.
Oh man, I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for these guys to finish the game. This is like I cannot believe Timeless just did that. A commerce 2, but it's going to pay out. It's going to pay out if PLA player, the Timeless, can survive for long enough. Looking at Ruzaki, I mean, he seems to be getting ready for it. He's still slow. I would like him to start sieging the tower already.
Oh, and you can see that Aizaki's going for an ambush here against Light Blue. Light Blue can't see anything coming, and there goes the ambush. And wow, what a move!
Yes.
Picking up some free kills there. Just Aizaki saying thank you very much. And as I said, he's a chess player. He's all about making moves as if this was a game of chess, and just showing that again right now.
Yeah. So if you were in Ryuzaki's shoes, which city would you take down first?
Look, to be honest, I probably would have gone for the right-hand side city, which is the Isfahan, and just use that momentum to go around. But now that I look at what he's doing, I like both options. I mean, there's easy access there. The only problem is that Light Blue can reinforce a little bit easier, but I can see the PLA guys are saying, Angelo is saying in the chat, oh, get militia. Angelo can recognize that there's some serious risk coming to Timeless right now.
Yeah, and look at these guys have got horses, sugar, gems, not as good resources as they had. They also have cotton, which only Mouse is using so far. So yeah, by the way,
got it. And can you see the militia pool is coming from purple?
Oh man, all right. I think this is what I was talking about. I mean,
oh my god,
perfect play by these guys. That's how you're supposed to play against somebody who decides to go Civic 2.
Yes, absolutely. The perfect counter here. We were talking about the chess game before, but if someone goes Civic 2, you can easily counter that with a militia all pull, and combine that with the Turkish siege. Geez, that city is going down, and yeah, wow, the purple just running through it, and even in the chat they're staying focused. They're saying raise all those buildings, because when you capture that city, you can sit there and delete the buildings one by one and get those resources back and hurt your opponent if they do retake it.
All right, and I think it's also a good idea to just send 2 sieges to Isfahan, and maybe have 2 heavy infantry just to take that city out. And man, this is great play by these guys.
Yeah, what a brilliant rush. I mean, I love the fact that they went for that city, because now Isfahan is so isolated. Essentially, they can just sit back, fortify that Persepolis, and then they can take Isfahan whenever they want at their own leisure. They can just sit here and fortify and hold this choke point, and then potentially kind of ride that momentum from there.
Oh yeah, and here Dave in the comment section has said that if you do this correctly, the game is over. And yeah, I completely agree with him. And looks like White, and that's an amazing team game by Lelouch. You see that he's mounting pressure right at this time so that White does not go to help him. White did go halfway. You can see his army coming back, and that's amazing. Looks like Lelouch is going to take this city down. I did not expect that.
Yeah, well done Lelouch, having the units in place to really pressure that city and make White pay for moving away. And I mean, White's economy is hurting now. I mean, just losing that city, obviously you lose all those farms, all that food income. He's got plenty of gold coming in, that's for sure, being Inca. But you still need food, and there's only 100 food coming in at the moment.
Yeah, I think Mouse is going to reclaim his city, but still, all Lelouch needed to do right now is to delay him, keep him busy while the rest of the squad takes out. That's really well played.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see that if you look at green and purple, I mean, obviously Nakakazu as the purple player, he pulled a lot of citizens for that militia and hasn't fully replenished them yet. But strategically in this game, taking that city was a huge momentum changer, and sacrificing some economy for that strategic acquisition of this territory here the city's finally assimilated now too, so they can finally start to fortify that and build towers and really get a chokehold on it. It looks like PLA has other ideas that they are bringing around units, and they do look like they are trying to retake the city now.
Nakazaku is bribing that tower. He's just bribed that tower. Incredible.
Oh my God.
Incredible. And
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely being
the Spanish player, I know that he can see horses. So if these guys just take Isfahan and start using horses, this game is over.
That's it. I mean, every time you get territory, you get more rare resources, you get more income coming in if you research taxation. There's just a multitude of benefits, but more importantly, you can use the trees, you can use the mountains, and interesting that they're sitting back, not worrying about Isfahan for now. They know that Isfahan is essentially cut off, it's isolated from the rest of the map, and they're just wanting to, press ahead and really just take the momentum they've got and try and finish off Timeless here.
It would be funny to see just send a single militia to Isfahan and just capture the whole city using a militia, because there is nobody to protect it. So eventually, it's going to take it at some point.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, at the moment, I think the guys from AZ don't care. They're going straight for the capital here, and obviously as Persians, the Persian player has 2 capitals. That's one of the nation bonuses, but they've already taken the first capital, so there's only 1 left. You only get 2 lives as Persian, and yeah, it looks like White Blue is doing everything he can to help out Timeless here.
Yeah, and look at Blue. Blue is going for Angelo City. I don't know if that's a good choice or not. He's trying to just keep mounting pressure here, and these guys are going right for the jugular, the capital of Timeless.
Oh, and at the bottom of the map, they are going for the militia pool again to try and get that cap sack, but PLA just had too many units. They weren't able to, turn that unit equation to get that cap sack there.
And there's some miscommunication. Rizaki receded, but Purple did not. And I think they just managed to take out Angelo's, Angelo's senator. And both Rizaki and Nakazaku are aging, so that's going to be really bad. Timeless he's barely surviving right now.
That's it. And I mean, look at the economies. I mean, you've got Aizaki and you've got Nakakazu, both with, very average economies, roughly 110 to 150 food and all the different incomes coming in. But the fact is they've got huge standing armies right now. They haven't lost too many units. And I mean, if you compare that to Red, who's got a few elephants, a few heavy infantry that can throw their spears, and an economy of 72 food, 110 wood. I absolutely love their play right now because they've just got all the trump cards. They've got the momentum, and eventually, once they age up, they'll be able to upgrade their units and then go in for potentially one final attack on this capital.
And meanwhile, just look at Blue and White here. It looks like Blue is winning against this battle. I did not expect him to win against Mouse right here. I mean, with Inca who can spam heavy horses and archers, that's a great play by Lelouch.
Yeah, Lelouch is playing really well, and looks like Lelouch has got the upper hand here in this 1v1 at the top as well. And then, Light Blue City is pretty much undefended, and does look like it probably will go down here as well.
Oh man.
And Isfahan has gone down as well.
Yeah, that's an overkill for a single city that's not guarded. That's a lot of army.
I think, you don't want to leave anything to chance, and who knows, that maybe he thought there might be some men hiding there, but no, those militia were just coming just to provide a little bit of reassurance and backup. Maybe they were the medics or the counselors trying to help everyone else. Mm-hmm. But yeah, look, every man helps, and they do take Isfahan after all.
All right, Angelo is going to double Blue, and now this is perfect opportunity for these guys to take out Timeless. He's unguarded there. And yes, they're going to see Angelo's army there. I mean, Blue is definitely going to lose this engagement, no doubt, 2 versus 1. But yeah, and as again they pointed out, the heavy cavalry were not upgraded for White, and yeah, that's a big bummer. The the knights and whatever that thing is called, I don't remember. What are those heavy cavalries called in the classical age? Do you remember?
Cataphract maybe?
Oh yeah, cataphract, right? How
Well,
can I forget that? I've been playing this game for I don't even remember. So yeah, cataphract versus knight. There's a huge difference. Knights are way stronger, and when Mouse went for that fight without the knight upgrade, he basically just gave away. I mean, gave away his army. There was no way he could win that. And that's a
yeah,
waste
so
of siege unit sieging. He's targeting the temple right now. I think they need to hurry because Mouse is coming here as well. Angelo is also here. And while this game looks like it's clearly in the favor of AZ, we should still remember that Angelo is Bantu and Mouse is Inca. And these nations are one of the best. We should not be underestimating them.
exactly right. And you can see that Blue has his army kind of raiding through White's territory at the moment, doing a bit of a runaround,
right.
and a bit of a risky strategy. But it's interesting because White's army is so immobile. They're just trying to chase after them, but it looks like they're doing a marathon run at the moment. There's so many archers, so many spearmen just walking slowly across the map, trying to chase down these Chinese units, but having no luck so far.
Blue has made a master move right there. So he's not attacking White, he's attacking Angelo. So by weakening Angelo, he's making sure that he does not help Red, and at the same time he's engaging Mouse's army. So that's a suicide mission, no doubt about it. But if that buys the other side enough time to kill quickly, man, that's completely worth it.
Oh, exactly. And, it just keeps the pressure on both players. It means that obviously Red is starting to recover now. Red's economy not too bad, but obviously was in a bit of a hole for a while there, and still the only player on the whole map still not to get to medieval age because there's just no real wealth income coming in. Sorry, not wealth, knowledge income coming in due to losing those universities early on with those 3 cities.
Yes, right. And I don't know if Green has got a castle. He does have the extra. He does have the extra military upgrade, but I guess these guys are taking too long. They need to finish as soon as possible before, if White comes to health, this game could be back where they started from. White has got a huge army. He has got the highest score in PLA right now.
Yeah, exactly. And anytime Inca plays, Inca starts to get a bit scary at this point in the game. Any time from this point forward, and as you said at the beginning of the game, a masterstroke by Lelouch to build that Colossus, because not so much that he needed to get the Colossus himself, but just to avoid the Inca player getting Colossus, because if Inca gets Colossus, it's almost like a cheat code in the game, because you just have so much wealth coming in, it becomes almost impossible to try and out-macro them.
And yeah, I also feel the siege are not being used efficiently. These 3 towers could be gone within 2 minutes easily, but the siege are being focused somewhere else, and it's just not a good idea. If a Timeless, who is aging now, this game is going to just become a little more difficult, because once they age, the cities become big, and now they get upgraded elephants, and just too much to go around. I don't think this game should be lasting for long. Meanwhile, Lelouch is losing on that end. Look at Mouse's army. I don't see in any world how Lelouch is going to fight that.
Yeah, I mean, Lelouch obviously, a bit of a suicide mission earlier just to distract both White, Blue, and White. But I mean, now obviously every unit you lose is a unit that Mouse has kept, and Mouse now has a significant unit advantage over Lelouch. So I think in this situation, Lelouch just needs to sit back, fortify your city, possibly build some spires to really try and. Oh, and if you actually check Blue's castle, there are some spires being built now as well. So Lelouch trying to do everything he can to hold off Mouse while giving his teammates the best chance of taking out Red and Light Blue.
That's right. And I mean, I do see, if I was a forecaster, I would think that Mouse is going to kill Lelouch very soon. And it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think Lelouch has already deleted his Senate, which is an awesome move. He should probably also send a villager somewhere at the back so that he does not get out of the game while these guys finish. And Red seems to have an advantage right now. He is upgrading units. He's back on his feet. got units upgraded.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing here though is you look at green and purple's armies. They haven't lost too many units throughout this whole time, and they've both got almost they're inching towards full population caps for their armies respectively. Red's not doing too bad, but population of 56 and light blue with 66, and then you've got purple with 86 and green with 94. You can see that that momentum and that build up of those armies. They haven't lost too many units. It's really going to come in handy now when they go in for those engagements to try and take this city.
Yes, absolutely. And looks, oh my God, I cannot believe that Mouse may not be taking that city. Mouse just ran into a territory without supply. I don't know if he just lost his supply or not, but that was a bad move. His army is mostly bleeding.
Yeah, great defense there by Blue, and Lelouch really sticking to his guns. Got the tower defending it. The city hasn't even been reduced yet, so obviously making the most of the Chinese nation powers here.
Yeah, and I mean, I would also like to point out. So somebody in the comment mentioned Sanane. He or she said that siege shoot 30-50% less without a wagon in enemy territory, and I've never noticed that. But if somebody can verify that claim, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I believe that's true. I know it's something that if you click on the supply wagon, I believe it does say allow your siege and artillery units to fire faster only in enemy territory. But it really does add up, and I mean getting those siege off faster. I mean, is the Turkish player has Ayizaki got supply wagons? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think he has. Oh, and blue and green is going back to help Mouse. And I just wonder now if all right, so looks like they have just given up on Timeless. They think it's just too much of work on that side, and he's gonna take on Angelo by himself.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing here is that
he's just gonna find out Ryuzaki's army right there again, and oh my God, Ryuzaki does not have the tactics upgrade yet.
Yeah, no armor upgrade yet. That's definitely gonna hurt. And his army's getting a little bit intercepted here. Don't think he saw Light Blue's army coming.
Oh yes, and I mean both purple and green, they're close to aging, to gunpowder, and not red, not Angelo. None of these guys are close to gunpowder age. So if this drags out to gunpowder, I think this game is going to be slightly or even significantly skewed towards the AZ side.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just look at the huge gap in technology there. I mean, if you look at Angelo here, he's only just getting science level 2 now. Doesn't have anything in the third age there. Like no science 3, no commerce, no mill 3. Whereas the other guys have only got 1 research left to get gunpowder, and it looks like Nakakazu here is about to get enough knowledge to research that. Just needs a bit more food, and it's going to swing back in AZ's favor as far as technology goes.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, I would still have. I'm not very happy with AZ. I think they could have finished this game long back. There was just too much of delay in taking out red, and now the game is dragging out. I don't think they're going to lose this game. Hopefully they should not lose this game, but I still feel that they could have finished it long back. And Lelouch is their top player in their team according to the score and the economy, and if he goes down, Mouse may be too powerful. He may even be able to sustain a 2 versus 1 for some time. So these guys got to kill as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see that gunpowder has gone down for Mouse. So Mouse is the first player to reach that. But then just as I say that, you've got the AZ guys all simultaneously researching gunpowder age. And, I think they're going to be way ahead of Angelo and Timeless. So it's going to be 3 gunpowder players versus 1 and 2 in age 3. And how long this gap goes for, I think it might be quite a while. So there is a huge window of opportunity here for AZ to press their advantage and, pretty much bring in cannons and guns versus, horses and pikemen.
Yeah, I feel green should just go and attack Angelo, because that would force Mouse to help him and give some time to Lelouch. Meanwhile, purple can easily kill red on his own.
Yep,
because
absolutely.
Lelouch is an important player right now. He has got Colossus. He's also he's got a nice economy there. Maybe not as good as Mouse, but he's still a valuable player, and they cannot afford losing him.
No, I mean, yeah, Blue's doing a great job with, just holding it together here. Building up his army again. He obviously lost a lot early on. Even though that suicide attack earlier on, it did a great job distracting everyone. I guess there was always a consequence to it, and losing all those units has really put him in a weak position for the rest of the match against a player like Mouse. But it's a team game, and ultimately, if that swings it back in their favor at the bottom, then we'll have to wait and see, whether it works out to be a net benefit or not.
And Young One in the comments says that if Mouse wins this 1 versus 3, he'll delete this game. Well, that's very unlikely, but I'm open to that prospect as well. Let's see if Mouse can conjure up some wonder right here.
And I honestly hope that that Young One doesn't delete his game, because we need him on our team. But yes, I think if anything could happen, honestly, if Mouse had the Colossus here, I think anything is possible. I think 1 versus 3 wouldn't be unheard of. But the fact that Lelouch got that Colossus means that, yes, they still do have a chance, even though it is Inca, and even though Inca is scary, and Mouse has 249 wealth income coming in at the moment. So, yeah, absolutely crazy economy.
All right, and we've got PLA Mac in the comments, and PLA Mac is an extremely valuable member of the community. I've not seen him a lot lately, but this guy is really an awesome standard and nomad player, and he says that take me for 2 versus 2, but I don't think he likes 3 versus 3s a lot.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, PLA Mac just spitting fire right now, throwing it out there, basically saying, bring it on in a 2v2, let's go right now. And look, I'm not sure what happened with Mac. Obviously, he didn't get on the roster for PLA's registration, but great to see him following the games as well.
All right, and looks like I cannot believe Lelouch just held on, and he has a giant army. I clearly did not. Maybe I missed something. Were you looking at the other side? Because he just managed to beat Mouse's army.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely sent it back. I mean, Mouse put most of his units back into that city, so he hasn't lost everything. It's still fairly even, I think, in the army, in the unit count. But obviously Lelouch making the most of that Colossus. I mean, he's just using that population cap, sitting back, and trying to engage his army in an effective way.
And Lelouch says that he's holding, but I don't think he needs to hold right now. He is clearly at an advantage. He can even kill Mouse right there. And Ruzaki is fighting with an operations upgrade. Awesome for him. I've seen him get these upgrades way before everybody else in the last game as well. That was awesome. But he's fighting without a supply wagon.
Yeah, a lot of attrition they're going down. But you can see, they do get the city. So it looks like the city has gone down here. And look at the size of Purple's army. The Spanish player here. Spain is not known as a fast nation, but you wouldn't know that right now. Huge army going on here, and obviously with Turkish player too, they're combining well, and they're concentrating their army in the same spot, which makes it so hard to fight against, because when you've got that many units in a small space, it's almost impossible to take down unless you have an equal and opposite sized army with a heap of cavalry.
Yeah, and if I was in Mouse's shoes right now, maybe I would just stop focusing on Lelouch and get to Ruzaki, because there is no way that I don't think even if he kills Lelouch, he's going to be his biggest problem, because Ruzaki and Nakazaku have boomed a lot. And
you can see in the chat now, I believe Angela just said, Ni Neng Ying Ma. Ni Neng Ying Ma. I don't speak Chinese, but if anyone can
speak Chinese, and I know Mac is there, and Mac is probably Chinese. So if you can tell us what that means right here.
I think it might mean, oh shit, we're stuffed, or something of that nature, because it's not looking so good for them right now. Huge armies from Purple and Green just pushing across, taking that city. And yeah, look, if you can tell us what Ni Neng Ying Ma means in Chinese, that'd be much appreciated.
Well, so based on the little Chinese that I know that Ni means I, and I learned some and failed in my undergraduate first year.
You're a
But
man of many talents. You can speak Chinese, Spanish. What else?
oh yeah, I really wish I could speak Chinese, but I just know one letter, ni. If there's
And
any Chinese players in the chat, I would like to tell them ni hao ma. Another Chinese thing that I know how to speak.
yeah,
Oh man.
absolutely. And
All
you can
right. So
see.
Mouse just captured that city.
Yeah, but
Go back.
Lelouch does take it back though, and bit of a back and forth here as well. Lelouch is really starting to get momentum going again with those fire lances, or heavy fire lances at this point, and yeah, really fighting back that Inca. I'm really impressed with Lelouch's play here. AZ2 have been playing phenomenally well. Just great strategy and great kind of patience to kind of build this up to a point where it looks like everything is slowly, they're creeping along the bottom of the map, taking city after city in a way that's really hard to stop.
Yeah, exactly. And just in the chat, we have Sergio campaigning for Octave again. If Octave was running for elections, I'm sure he would surely win, because Sergio has created a very positive image of him in the community.
That's it. And I mean, if what I hear about Octave is true, EL don't have a chance in the next match in the quarterfinals. So
oh, I have no doubt about it. We are going in the end. And Mouse just said Ni Neng Ying Ma means can you win? So I think Ni does not mean yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Ni actually means you, not I.
Ah, right. Well, that makes sense then.
So
and I guess
I knew one word and I got that wrong. Imagine that.
Wow. And as we can see, the GGs have gone down. Can you win? Ni Neng Yang Ha, I'm not sure how to say that properly. Obviously, the answer to that would be what's no in Chinese?
I don't know. Maybe just no.
I'm putting you on the spot there, but I think you just press number 2. That's the universal language for no here, because PLA could not bring this back. AZ2 have rolled them over, especially with green and purple at the bottom with that excellent rush early on, and Lelouch getting that Colossus before Inca can get it, and then kind of going toe to toe with one of the best Chinese Nomad players there is. And wow, this is the first match of the tournament so far where we are tied up at 1 game apiece, 2 very equally balanced teams here. Where do you think this is going to go from here?
Man, this is way more intense than I was expecting. Again, as I said, PLA has been forecasted to be a top team. Most people said that they are one of the best in this tournament, and to see them fight against AZ2. AZ2 is not the best, as you said, of the AZ clan. And to see them struggle so much in the second game, I mean, it was clear that Timeless made some really reckless decisions. Maybe they were getting too complacent. They didn't think that AZ would be able to kill them, because getting a second city right at the end was just inviting trouble. That was the worst decision that they could get.
Yeah, I think essentially that was a case of a bit of a blunder by Timeless there with the Civ 2. But at the same time, great strategy there with Nakakazu and Ayuzaki, just recognizing the situation and saying, now is the time to strike. Now is the time to say, Leroy Jenkins, rush in there with all the militia and take out that city. And I think taking that city of I believe it was Persepolis was probably the key here, because once they took that city, it seemed like PLA was always on the back foot, and they really needed to hope that Mouse could pull something out of the hat, because it's always going to be tough once you lose that momentum, you lose those farms, and you lose all that knowledge income.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, these guys were also using good resources, and it's just something to point out. Maybe if this game had not turned out how it was right now, maybe if Pla had come back, it's worth noting that Ruzaki and Lelouch were not using horses. And since Nakazaku was using it, it should have been his responsibility to point it out to the rest of the players, because horses and salt, yeah, they're not something you just want to give up. You clearly want to use it if you have it in your territory, and this game could have been just much more smoother if both of these guys were also using horses.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess, it becomes tough. Once you get on the back foot, you also some of those basic things in Rise of Nations, like you've got to always try and remember to raid your opponent's rares. There was some raiding going on. I did see a few elephant raids, which we probably didn't pick up and talk about during the game, but there was some good action from both sides on trying to kill those rare resources. But yeah, ultimately, like anything, sometimes the effect can snowball a little bit. As you take more territory, you get more rare resources, and if they can capitalize on that as they did, getting the horses and so on, they can just kind of use that momentum and ride it to victory.
Yeah, and just in the comment section, always be positive. Who's Issue S? He just said that Abo is Lelouch, right?
I think there's Abu, which is ABU, which is Lelouch, but there's Abo is a different player, who's an old player, and I think Abo might be in the chat. So probably no relation.
So Abo is Google. All right, then that's not Lelouch. But awesome play. If you go to statistics and go to military, Lelouch has the highest kills, and he wasn't 2 versus 1 at any point. Neither was Mouse. So I guess Lelouch played it really well, being the. Not playing so well in the first game, but in this game he has just made up for that. The other side may not have killed in time if Lelouch could not hold, and he was even killing. I think if this would have dragged on for a while, then Lelouch would have killed Mouse eventually.
Right. And we just saw in the comments too, there was just some clarification about Abo. So David was just saying, no, it's actually Zen Mechanics is his normal name, and Abo is his other nickname. So I must admit, I'm a little bit confused. I didn't realize that Abo and Zen were the same player. But anyway, that's for something we can discuss when it comes to For Varley, who Zen plays for. And I guess, we'll have to give a quick plug to that. We've got For Varley versus AL coming up soon. Excited for that. But we are in the middle of this match versus Z-2 and PLA. It is 1 game apiece at the moment. And we are into our first game 3 of the tournament.
Yes, and this is getting super excited. I cannot wait to start the 3rd game. This has been just marvelous to watch. And just something before we add, I want to point out the timeless cities. Can you see the 2 cities in the corner?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, right in the corner there.
That's a great strategy. So I would like to point out that Timeless did not die in this game. And that's something I would also commend him for. Apart from that really bad decision of Civic 2, he has been really good at surviving. Getting your city at the back of the base, your ally's base, is the perfect way to not die. And all you need to do is, in some games, is just not die, and you can still get your team to win a 2 versus 3 if one of your players is too strong. I would rather play with an ally who is almost dead than somebody who is just out of the game, because almost dead means he can still help me with raids, he can do minor stuff, he can probably get back in game after a while, but a dead ally is just not worth. I don't think I'll be playing that game if I don't think there are good odds of winning.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I guess where we're at now is we're obviously set to start game 3 shortly. I just wanted to have a quick look at our live stream at the moment. We are streaming this coverage live. We've got 17 people watching right now. We're set up for game number 3, but we do have a minute now just to quickly, if you need to grab a drink of water or stretch your legs just for a brief moment. Don't go anywhere too far, because we are about to start game 3. And can I just ask that again, if you're enjoying this so far, the 2 things you can do is, firstly, the main thing is share the link to the YouTube stream. Tell your friends it's very easy to search. You just search RiseOfPatience YouTube. Find the channel and it'll say live right now. That's the easiest way to find it. If you prefer Twitch TV, you can also go to twitch.tv/EasyCronHD, where there's a restream going and we can both talk about the tournament. It's the same content. So either YouTube, RiseOfPatience, copy the link, spam it to everyone on Steam friends list, spam it to people on Facebook and whatnot, WhatsApp, and even on Discord as well. So that we can get the viewer numbers up as high as possible, and we can get as much of these quality matches out to as many people as we can.
Yes, and I'll just also share this link on the Discord server. There's not an official, but a Discord server for Rise of Nations with a lot of players there. So I'll just share that right there as well.
Absolutely. And then I think without anything else to cover, I think we're just about ready for game number 3. So what do you think?
Yes. I cannot wait for the game number 3, man. Let's just get right into it.
Absolutely.
So I guess, yeah. So I am going to start game number 3. This is the first game so far in the tournament which has gone to the game number 3. All the other games ended with a 2-0. So yeah, it just tells you how evenly matched these teams are.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm excited to see this because so far, most of the matches they've been close, but they've been two teams that, there's always a big favorite. In this particular match, I think PLA are the favorite, but at the same time, AZ2 are extremely talented, and I think a lot of people probably thought that they wouldn't be putting up as strong a performance as they have, but obviously I know them and I knew that they're definitely capable of this win in game 2, and let's see what happens in game 3 now.
Yeah, so I'm at the 10-second point, and whenever it resets, just let me know.
No worries. So I'm at 14 seconds. So if you can just go to 14.
Okay. And then 11, 12, 13, and 14.
All right, let's go.
And this is Sahara. This is a perfect map for the third game. I mean, there's going to be rushing. There's going to be a lot of raiding. I just hope that nobody finds them out of wood. And I don't know, do we have a rule if somebody does not have wood, can they call for a restart?
Look, I think we did talk about this at the beginning of the tournament. Do we put in a rule? Because there are times where you build a city and you don't have any wood, and it's almost like a huge handicap, almost crippling your whole entire match. But at the same time, this is Nomad, and in Nomad, you have the ability to walk around for as long as you want. And if you take that risk of building your city, and you don't build it near trees, just hoping and fingers crossed that you're going to have a big forest next year, and it doesn't work out, to be honest, that's a risk that you've taken, and sometimes you've just got to suck it up. So I don't believe we do have any rule in place, but interested to hear what the community thinks about that.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying is absolutely right. We should not allow players who decide to go first risk not getting the wood, end up without wood, because that's what they ask for. And actually it should not, if you are building it first, as we have seen in one of those games between AS Underground and L, where I Rush with Dutch ended up with a place without any wood, he still migrated to his allies territory and used wood. So yeah, you will have to use something. There is no excuse for a rematch if you don't find wood.
Exactly. And I mean, and this map, for anyone who's not familiar with Sahara, I'm so excited to see this game because Sahara often produces very, wild and crazy matches. It's a very open map, so there's a lot of, raiding going on. There's heaps of rare resources, and there's a huge forest in the middle. And it's often a big battle for, who goes for that risk of, a delayed start to secure that territory in the middle early on and guarantee their team's supply of wood versus who's content to just build their city as fast as possible, get everything cranking much faster than your opponent, but then risk possibly being stuck with nothing and having a slow kind of wood count at the beginning.
And looks like Nakakazu has hit himself a jackpot. Just look at that timber camp.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and like we talked about, he took a bit of a gamble by walking a bit longer into the middle, but I mean, it's a smart play. It's worked out really well because they've well and truly secured that center of the map now. And I'd like to see if AZ can get all their cities together, get their units together, and kind of bring them in the middle and work together as a team, so that anytime PLA tries to attack them, they're attacking two armies instead of one. Yes,
and I mean they've got nice nations. Looking at AZ, once we have got Lelouch as Mongols and Ryuzaki as Iroquois. Based on what I've seen, and Ryuzaki's play style is quite aggressive, and Iroquois fits in just as well for how he plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you look at the other side, you've got Nakakazu as Dutch in the middle. Mm-hmm. I'd say Dutch are not a bad nation, but a bit slow to begin with. But it does come in handy having those armed merchants, especially on this map where there's a lot of raiding going on. That can help at least slow down the opponents. And interesting to see if he might go for a caravan raid, which is a little bit of an unknown or unused strategy, but can be very strong to harass woodlines in the early mid game.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely. I would love to see a caravan raid because all you need to do is find out your opponent's wood camp, and once you know that, just go for a caravan raid. It doesn't cost you a lot. It's just 10 food, 30 wood. Doesn't bog you down much. But then that caravan raid is just as good as an archer raid. And actually, I would argue that the caravan raid is better than archer raid because caravans are much stronger. You cannot karate chop your way through a caravan like you can do through an archer.
exactly. I mean, those camels are pretty tough. Those camels have a lot of HP, and yeah, they can take a beating. I mean, many a citizen has tried to karate chop them in the past, and you know, they ended up dying or running away. So I believe, yeah, it's a great move if Nakakazu does go for it. But I mean, given his situation, he's taken a little bit of a gamble going into the middle here. Great resources, but a little bit slower than the rest of the players. And if we look at the position on the map, there's actually a Lakota player, Mouse. Mouse has rolled Lakota here, and he's very close to Nakakazu. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, obviously Lakota is often one of the fastest nations to get to age 2 and really put pressure on. And if Mouse can pressure Nakakazu early on, it'll be interesting to see if he might need some help from his teammates.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, for the PLA team, this is the most obvious choice is to kill Nakakazu as soon as possible. And based on their matchup, so they've been getting Persians every time. So once Timeless is the second time Timeless is Persian, and the first game Mouse was Persian, so that's going to be an economic civilization for them. But just looking at the Turk and Lakota combo, that's an extremely nice combo because Lakota are known for those advanced ancient age raids because they can easily max out their commerce to 100 quite fast compared to any other civilization, just because they have they usually start with science initially and then go commerce, and then they can utilize a lot of rare resources on the map. So it just makes it easier for Lakota player to go military, and looks like our Mouse is going for military first. Now that means that if he can slow down the Dutch player, then all TNO needs to do is just age up quickly and start sieging him.
Yeah,
This
exactly
is
right.
a perfect strategy for them. And yeah, Lelouch is also here with the Mongols, so a good placement for city. Maybe it could have been built a little in front, but that's also not a bad place. It's a kind of a defensive place for Lelouch. He does not have to worry about his caravans being raided because of a weird position. And
exactly, and tough for that city to get you know, rushed by units. They've got to go around that mountain, so he's really using that natural geography to his advantage to kind of create a bit of a funnel there.
oh yeah, definitely. And all right, can you see where? Can you see Mouse's barracks? Ruzaki's merchant just passed next to it. Oh my god, is he going to find out about that barracks? Is he? His two merchants just passed next to it, like one on the other side, and oh man,
Yeah,
it
I think
feels so
there's
bad
another
for him.
merchant. Yeah, just misses out there and doesn't see it. Wow, what an incredible bad stroke of luck there. But yeah, to Mouse's credit, he must have known something that if he places it in that particular spot, it's not going to be scouted. And now you can see that Mouse is really starting to spam units out of that barracks, and in a perfect location given its proximity to all those really great rares. I mean, you've got Pappy, you've got Furs, just within a stone's throwing distance. And yeah, I think those rares are going to go down shortly.
Oh yes, and I would still argue about the positioning of that barracks because it's in Ruzaki's territory. So it will eventually be destroyed, but that's still a nice raid. I mean, if I got raided right in the beginning out of nowhere, like from within my territory, I would be surprised too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just off camera, you can see the gems near the Mongol capital there. Some of Mouse's villages just took out a merchant as well. So
Whoa.
already Lakota's doing a lot of early raid damage here, and this has got to be pretty frustrating for the AZ guys because, you know, getting that early momentum with those rares is critical in this map. And at the moment, it's just all getting disrupted by this raid, and Lakota is just so frustrating to play against at times.
Oh yeah, definitely. And looks like he Mouse just took down first. Then next is Tobacco on the top corner. As you said, he also took down Gems, I guess.
Yeah.
One merchant of Gems. So that's a very successful raid. And it's not the best part is it's not hurting Mouse at all. He's still at a 88 food income, which is not bad for somebody who started with the military.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you look at purple here, Lelouch, his wood line is getting raided. He can't use that wood right now, and he's down to 60 wood. And the longer this goes on, the harder it is for him because where does he build his barracks? He can either build it near his capital, or he can build it at the front lines. The problem is, if you build it at the front lines, it's great for later in the game when you need to reinforce, but it's so far to walk back to your main base. But if you put it in your main base, it's pretty much useless in the late game. So you've kind of got to choose one or the other, and neither option is really that good.
Oh yeah, and yeah, he Lelouch has got his barracks in the second city. I think that's a good choice. He will have to walk a little more initially, but it just helps works better in the later in the game. Now, I would like to point out that Mouse has not found about the papyrus. So that's
Yeah.
great. That's great for the AZ team. They don't have to worry about Pappy being raided.
Yeah, that's a bit of a lucky kind of break there because that Pappy was definitely going to get raided if they knew about it. But at the moment, they're just sticking to the tobacco at the top. The furs obviously got raided earlier, and yeah, look, the AZ guys starting to kind of settle down a bit now. But definitely the MVP for this first 10 minutes of the game. Oh, and if we look at the right hand side here, we talked about the caravan raid. There is a caravan raid going down right now. You talk about the player I rush with Dutch. We've got a player rushing with Dutch right here.
Where
Nakakazu
I can't see it. Where is that?
at the wood line to the right hand side of Persepolis. So just to the right hand side of
Oh
of his,
yes, that's a great move by Nagakazu. And I don't know if these guys want to double red, but if I was to double somebody, yeah, I would probably be doubling red as well because Turks and Lakota they have cheaper military. It makes them easier to defend. And Lakota
yeah.
is anyway strong, so they're just easy to defend. So Persians is the weakest nation right now at this point. But yeah, once they boom up, then they can they're not easy to handle after that. But I mean that's a great raid by Nakakazu. He's not losing anything. I mean his one caravan is still running the trade route, so it's not like he is missing out on anything with the second caravan. So that's a perfect use of a caravan raid. I very much appreciate it. And Timeless,
Yeah.
so Timeless is doing the same thing he did last time, a second Civic. I know it's a good idea to do that with the Persians, but and especially when he has Die. But just to point out that, well, he's not in as much danger as last time, so that I don't think that's as much a problem. But doing it against Turks was a big blunder.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably not going to be as bad in this case, but I still would like to point out that, if you look at the positioning of the map right now, sometimes in Rise Nations, it's not just about the resources and the economy, but it's about how your kind of cities line up against each other and, how the armies are going to interact. And if you look at, Red's, with Timeless's city, his front city is kind of open to getting it doubled from both the middle of the map and from the top because you've got Orange there, Ayuzaki just above him, and you've got Netherlands in the middle, who can kind of swing around and apply a lot of pressure, and then come back and fight from the bottom as well. So, given that they've got Lakota and Turks here, I expect Lakota and Turks are going to put on a lot of early pressure with those siege units, and it's going to be tough to stop that. But if they can defend against a Lakota and Turk potential rush or potential early aggression, I think that city at the right hand side, Red is definitely prone to getting doubled here.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the Lelouch has put a defensive tower at a very interesting place, and he's gonna survive that archer, but their gems are going to be raided, I guess. So it doesn't look like what Mouse TNO is doing what I thought he would. I don't see any military 2 coming, so yeah, probably it's going to be more of a boom game. Remember TNO Timeless Mouse, this was the winning team for PLA in the first game, and let's see if they can run that magic once again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, interesting change of players here. I mean, obviously AZ with the same lineup that they won game 2 with, riding that momentum. And then, PLA maybe, second guessing their lineup in that switch in game 2. going back to the proved formula they had in that first game, because obviously it worked out and TNO had a great game. So yeah, I like that move by PLA, and so far it's looking good.
All right, so we just got PLA Mac in the chat who's asking where are these games taking place. So Mac, we decided not to do live broadcasts because just for the sake of not accusing people for cheating, and we don't want players to tell us later that, oh, what if somebody saw the stream and they used the stream to their advantage. So we let the games happen. Once the games are complete, we stream. This also makes it better for everybody else because nobody is dropping in the game and we only get the games that are completely done. So it's a better use of the viewer's time and the broadcaster's time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just pointing in the game at the moment, you can see the Lakota player, Mouse, really making the most use of his nation powers, building a tower at the top of the map at the Tobacco. I did see one of the AZ guys basically sent a merchant up there thinking that they might take that Tobacco back. Unfortunately, they walked straight into a tower and lost the merchant. So yeah, Lakota is so frustrating to play against on Sahara, and I recommend anyone who plays Lakota here go around and build towers at all the good rares. Incredibly frustrating to play against if you're on the other team.
Oh yeah, and just pointing out, I would doubt if it's worth putting a tower on Tobacco. I don't consider it the best of the rares. And
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, Tobacco, it's gold income, but I like the fact that it's so far away that it's unlikely that tower is going to, get taken by territory by further cities. But at the same time, I agree with what you said. It's definitely not a high priority rare.
And just something I want to point out, if you have noticed, Ruzaki has gone despotism, so he would like to strike as soon as possible. As we have discussed multiple times before, despotism is most strong when used immediately, and Mouse is doing a great job at making sure that he is focused on his raids instead of attacks. So he is giving enough time to Timeless to boost his income so that he can fight that despotic raid with proper preparation. So that's a great teamwork from Mouse, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, this is absolutely sick play by Mouse right now. I mean, the fact is, when you're despot, your economy is so low that you can't afford to have your main income get raided like that. And you can look at the Lakota player building that stable behind everyone else and sending in I think he sent in 2 heavy cavalry and a horse archer. It's basically delayed this despot rush significantly and also killed off his metal income. And this is really, really vulnerable because, every second, every minute counts when you despot. An attack at 14 minutes is probably 2 or 3 times stronger than an attack at 15. And I mean, the fact is we're getting to, past the 15 minutes, 30 mark now. And it's actually Timeless who's being on the offensive. And when you're the despot player and your opponent's on the offensive and you're defending, that is a really, really bad position.
Oh yeah, definitely. And now looks like Timeless is attacking. Timeless has got a nice economy set up. He's almost there at 150. And oh my god, just pointing out that Green has taken Blue City, and Nakakazu does not seem to be doing really well. He has to get militia out, and when you have to get militia out, or when your opponent gets militia out, that means shit is getting serious.
Oh, it is, yeah, exactly. And I mean, Nakakazu was doing some good raids on the Diamond earlier, but you can see now, those nations like Turks and Lakota, they're both really strong in the early game, and PLA taking full advantage of it right now. Striking hard with those siege weapons that can basically fire from across the map. And whenever you're pulling militia, as you said, if you lose that city for Nakakazu and lose all those farms, yeah, huge kind of hit to take. And let's see if they can hold.
All right, and just another thing going on in Ruzaki's base, he has been playing on back foot again, and Mouse just raided his whole woodcutter camp, if you can see that. And all those furs.
Oh jeez, this is yeah, really good raiding going on here. And you can see the blue, yeah, blue's still pulling all those militia, doing whatever he can to save, but Jesus, there's so much action going on, so much raiding by Lakota. Yeah, this is an incredible play by Mouse so far. He is almost single-handedly, steering this game in PLA's direction.
Oh, definitely. Look at that. If you click on his table at the back, he is continuously pumping out units, making sure he is raiding Rozaki all the time. And I guess he must have seen in the past games that Rozaki is a really aggressive player, and if he gets his work done, if he plays at his best, he may even kill Timeless right there, especially with a despot.
On my way.
Yeah, I think this is this is a classic situation where, you know, Lakota are a strong nation to get, but if you put them in the hands of Mouse, you know, the Asian sensation, he is absolutely on fire right now. He is throwing out you know, cavalry from his racks in the back. He's attacking on the front. You know, if you're playing against him, you say, how can I possibly defend on, you know, 2 or 3 fronts at the moment?
Yeah.
There's no easy answer.
Right. I mean, Mouse is easily giving them a big advantage right here in the game. I mean, he's rated blue. Blue is already almost dead if you look at his economy, and so it can be so frustrating to see that you've got a 60 economy and you get raided on the other side, who you're not even supposed to attack you. And the best part about these raids is that these units are going to die anyway, so you don't have a permanent what is it called? Permanent I'm not getting that word, man.
Population.
Yeah. I mean, you're not. They're not counting on your population limit permanently. They'll die soon. So you're just like spending resources, and this resource is completely worth it. Just seeing how much you're weakening your opponents. And with Lakota, he's not just weakening one of them. He's weakening all of these. And I mean, he's already raided Rozaki so much that I guess Timeless is in a great position to kill Rozaki just by himself.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, Timeless, yeah, look at that economy. Ayuzaki, you know, going Despot, it's almost like handcuffing yourself a little bit, because as Despot, you're only down to, you know, 100 commerce cap. And if you go 100 commerce cap, you really need to sink all your resources into a huge army. But unfortunately, with all the raiding going on by Mouse, it's really weakened that Despot attack. And the longer the game goes on, the more advantage the player that went to Senator has. And, you know, Timeless making full advantage of Persian's bonuses right now. Getting a few elephants, those throwing the heavy infantry, the immortals, they're so good. And as we talk about this, you know, you've got green and white coming up and taking that city as well. And yeah, not looking great for the AZ guys.
Oh yes, and well, looks like even though Rozaki is here, I don't think he's going to change the course of this game.
Yeah, Ayuzaki definitely coming in to help out, but yeah, look, unfortunately, yeah, a little bit tough because of the locations on the map. You know, the terrain. You've got red that's swung in here to the left-hand side, and now it's almost a triple onto poor Nakakazu's what used to be his city. And look, they do briefly retake, but it's looking like, you know, the AZ guys are starting to think this is starting to look like GG. You even got an elephant raid on Orange's original base at the top there, and that's just rubbing salt into the wound right now.
Yeah, and just something Dave pointed out in the chat, that we should have allow nation picking. And Dave, actually, that was one of the things we did consider for this tournament, but we did not put it just because this is the first tournament after such a long time. We don't want to confuse people. And we were also concerned about the flow of this tournament. As you might have seen, we have had a very bad luck with organizing Rise of Nations tournament. They always start well, but they don't end well. And probably if this tournament is successful, then we may be able to do that in the next one, where we have each team pick nations, and they cannot pick those nations again for the future games or for that particular matchup. So that would be really interesting, and that would also add complexity to this game. You can now change your strategy based on what kind of nations you have. That will really add great essence in the game.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, this is only the first tournament, and, you know, obviously once we've finished it, we'll have a lot more info to go off about what worked well and what we can improve on. But I think, you know, for this particular tournament, obviously we've got the random nations in place, and we've got a best of 3. So, you know, there will be times where your nations might not be as good, but it comes down to which teams can make the most of their situation and basically, you know, take full advantage of, you know, sometimes you will get Russia, sometimes you'll get Dutch, sometimes you will get, you know, there's nations that aren't as good as Lakota and Turks, but at the end of the day, the best players will always come out on top in the long run. And so I think in some ways it just makes it exciting to see, who can, adapt quickest, who can work together as a team and try and figure out a way to make it work with what they get.
Yes, and yeah, for this game, I think this random has worked out. Although, of course, in a next tournament, maybe if there is the Nomadium 2.0, then we can make it better. Definitely,
Yeah,
and we guys are really counting on your feedback. So whatever you see in this tournament, let us know. I know a lot of people would like to see the live broadcasts instead of replays, and while there are some troubles with that, if you know a great workaround for that, if you think there is a way we can make it smooth without disappointing a lot of people, then do let us know.
Absolutely, but the game is continuing and obviously looking really, really good for PLA here. You can see that the Hague is looking like it's about to go down. Yes, and there we go. The Nakakazu has been eliminated from the game, losing his last city there, and obviously no other city to fall back on. But look, I think Nakakazu obviously showed his skill in that second match, playing great as the Spaniards. But yeah, they're just getting a tough draw here. And to be honest, just coming up against the Asian sensation Mouse, playing as Lakota. Lakota is so good, but in Mouse's hands, he showed exactly how you play it. And people might talk about nations being fair or unfair. At the end of the day, you put Lakota in the hands of Mouse, and that is a masterclass on how you play Lakota. I mean, he has absolutely ripped apart AZ here with those raids. Putting pressure at the front, putting pressure at the back, stopping that despot rush from Orange there. And yeah, you've just got to take your hat off sometimes and say, well played.
Yes, definitely. I mean, Mouse has been a valuable player in this game, MVP, if you want to put it that way. But an awesome game. Of course, yeah, these guys did have a good matchup, but I won't call Mongols and Iroquois bad nations. These were nice nations too. It's just that the Lakota screwed them over.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and it comes down to the beginning too in the game where Nakakazu took a bit of a risk by walking his citizens all the way to the center to capture that city. And I'd almost argue that if you go back in hindsight, obviously it's easy for us to comment now and not be in the heat of the battle. But perhaps his second city should have been built backwards instead, and provided a bit more of a buffer there. Because building that city forward where he did, where I believe it's pronounced Verdun, which was the first city they lost, it was quite vulnerable to a Turkish and Lakota attack there, and almost in hindsight, yeah, might not have been the best decision.
And it looks like Rizaki is going for a final rush. He wants to, yeah, he wants to take the city, man. He has been so unlucky all this time that every time he had to fight a Persian opponent. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, I did notice that, and yeah, that is quite frustrating for him. Always coming up against elephants is never fun, especially when you're on the attack and you can't bribe them.
And especially when you cannot get the capital plunder, because there are two capitals. So even if Rizaki takes this city, he's still going to not get the 500 bonus. So that's so frustrating.
Yeah, he will, however, stop that Hanging Gardens if he can capture that city before the Hanging Gardens is completed.
Oh, but, yes.
It does look like Red is bringing back enough troops now, and the city does go down, so he does get the Hanging Gardens by the looks of it.
Yeah, he did get it, but it's just that if Nakakazu had been in this game, this would have been fun. This would have been a turning point because of all the resources that got destroyed in Hanging Gardens. But well, the game is over, and really well played by AZ2 and PLA, especially PLA in this one. And
yeah, absolutely.
The level of these games, the intensity, the amount of I can't just put it into words. This is increasing with every game that we have been seeing. We started with very mild games, and now we are at a point where I can't just get my eyes off the game. There's so much going on in every point, and it's all important enough to make a substantial difference in the game.
Yeah, this has been absolutely insane. I'm keen to hear from the comments. Everyone watching, if you can just mention in the chat, I guess, what was your favorite moment? What do you think, turned this final game here? Who was the MVP? Because, a lot of good play here from every player. But look, I still can't go past Mouse, man. As I said, the Asian sensation's done it again. getting Lakota. I mean, Mouse had a few games in the first two matches, I think, where he did well, but he couldn't quite dominate the way we thought he might. But as soon as he got Lakota, he just showed, this is how you play the game. Raid from behind, get your economy up and running, raid from the beginning, and, attack from the front. And, yeah, it was just too much.
Yeah, and if you go to the game stats, you would see that Lelouch did really well. So Lakota are mostly expected to have a high ruin bonus, but Lelouch actually got a very decent ruin bonus in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I wonder if that was just getting enough scouts out there early on, and obviously playing as Mongols. Yeah, Mongols are equally as good as any other nation, especially on Sahara. That's a great map for Mongols to be. So, if you look at these nations, I think, Lakota, Turks, Persians versus Iroquois, Mongols, and Dutch, I think it's relatively balanced there. And it just comes down to who can, take advantage of their nations and work together as a team better than the other nation and the other teams. So, yeah, hats off to PLA. They played really, really well and, deserved to go through.
Yes, that's right. And this was an amazing game. I mean, I really liked the AZ's performance, and as you said, these guys were your second team. So you have the best players of AZ in the AZ1, and I just can't wait to watch them. I mean, these guys were like really, really terrific. I don't think these guys would be. If you said they were part of your AZ1 team, I wouldn't say, oh, you're kidding, that cannot be your best. But these guys really did well. And in the third game, they just got a little unlucky with the opposite nations, but they did really well to hold on their own. I mean, the level of teamwork I've seen within Rizaki, Lelouch, and Nakazaku, that has been phenomenal.
Yeah, that was incredible. And geez, it just makes you think, if these guys played, 10 games, like who would win 5 or 6 of those matches? I mean, it's so evenly balanced, and obviously for logistical reasons we have to cap it at a best of 3, but 2 really evenly matched teams, and God, I'm impressed by both. I mean, obviously we've got to talk about PLA here though. PLA do go through. They were one of the top 4 seeds. They will face their next opponent being it'll be Lat Team 1, so that's going to be a great match. Best Chinese team versus the best South American team.
Oh yeah, and we have seen a really nice aggressive play from Lat. And so based on all my game, I would say PLA leans a little towards booming than to proper rush. And Lat 1 team, I have seen them like carry out really nice rushes, especially with Azteca in their team, who is known to be a very aggressive player. So it's going to be quite interesting to see those matchups and how PLA holds up against that team. And it also looks like TNO, Timeless Mouse, this trio is just maybe it's just lucky for PLA that this trio won the 2 games that they played.
Yeah, obviously that's some good intel for them moving forward. They know which 3 were able to get it done, and I wonder if that plays into their roster choice. But I did want to let everyone know who's still on the line. We are probably going to try something just for the first time here. We do have Ayuzaki, who plays for AZ, obviously on the team that wasn't successful here, but he is on the line ready for a potential post-match interview. So this will be the first time we've tried this, but this is more just a trial to obviously set us up for later on in the tournament. So please hold on the line while we try and patch in Ayuzaki to get his thoughts on the match and just see how he felt about how the games went and, potentially what they did well and what they could have done better for next time.
Oh yes, guys, please hold on. And meanwhile, we are here. We are looking at the chat. So if you guys have anything to tell us, please let us know. This has been really great games between AZ and PLA. And we've got some games coming up today. I'll just switch to that screen.
Mm-hmm.
So today we were done with PLA versus AZ2 on Friday, and today we've got RO versus AS Alpha. So I think based on the time I have here, I guess RO versus AS Alpha should have already started. And both of these teams are quite amazing. I think AS Alpha, Kron, are you there with me?
Yeah, I am. Yep.
Do you remember if AS Alpha was also voted as one of the best? I think it was EL, PLA, And okay, yeah, as for
I
Wally
think,
and the AZ1. Okay, all right.
yeah,
Those four
yeah,
are the top rated teams.
yeah. I believe AS Alpha were definitely in the mix, but I believe they just missed out on the top four, consensus rankings. But definitely a really really strong team. They've got Sermon, they've got Haha, they've got Noob Hater, and they've got Spyrodon. So four players that can pretty much you can pick any three of them, and they're going to be really strong opponents. And we just saw in the chat there, issues has just said props to AZ dying with dignity. I think absolutely they did die with dignity. Great sportsmanship all around. And as I said before, we're going to try something new for the first time now. So we're going to try and patch in Ayuzaki to hear his thoughts on how he thought the match went. So just hold the line. We'll just patch him in on Skype now, and just bear with us for 5 seconds.
Yeah, and probably if the RO versus AS Alpha goes through in time, if everything goes well, then it's possible today evening for me. I'm in the EST Eastern Standard Time zone, which is -5 GMT. So around my evening, which would be somewhere around 12 a.m. in Europe, we could be we could be broadcasting this, and just let us know if you guys feel that's a good enough time or you like this time better, because of course while we are live streaming, our main focus is to get as many of viewers as possible. So if the time does not work out for most of you, well, we may change it to tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
and so and Jitin, I'm just going to ask, can you hang up on Skype, hang up this phone call right now between us, and then I'll call you again in a three-way chat where we'll have Ayuzaki on the line so that we can quickly ask him his take on the match.
all right, that's perfectly fine. So I'll be ending the call from here.
Yep. So you end the call, and I'll call you back in 1 second.
Okay. And apart from RO versus AS Alpha, we've also got Forwali versus AL, another really anticipated game. It looks like I just got a call from.
All right, Jitin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. And we are blessed to have the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. I don't know if you can put this on the live feed, but I'd love if you could. We have the man Ayuzaki for a quick post-match interview here. Welcome, Ayu. Thank you for joining us, and great to have you on the show.
It's nice to be here. By the way, you guys are doing an extremely great job. This is amazing. Like watching so many people watching the live stream, it's amazing. I really thought that the game was dead, but you guys really are doing a great job making it back alive, honestly.
But thanks a lot, Razaki. That means a lot to us.
Yeah, thank you. No, we appreciate that. And this is the best part, is getting to watch these incredible games get played between evenly matched teams like earlier today. So I guess my first question I've got to ask you is, how did you feel about the team's chances coming into this match against PLA?
Well, I thought we had a decent. I mean, I honestly thought that it was an equal matchup, and it would probably boil down to rare resources and positions and nations, which it did happen in the end, and which makes me really, really regret the fact that we did not re-choose those dropped game nations. We probably could have made something out of it, and not having to play against Turks and Lakota on Sahara.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But can you tell us what were the first nations in the first game?
Wait, the first game. Okay, this is confusing. I just played 3 games, so I honestly don't remember.
Do you remember what nation you had?
I believe it was Germans. And
I remember I was Greeks, and I was up against Russia, Mouse, and Lelouch was Lakota. And the first game had Language of Trees, right? Yeah, he was Americans.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So that game, I think Mouse was Persians, right?
No, he was Russia, I think. Oh no, he was Persia. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So okay. So with the game that dropped, Kron, do you know what were the nations then?
I believe AZ had nations like Germans, and maybe British, Germans, and Iroquois.
Yeah.
Were the 3.
Oh, that's a great combo. I do agree with Rizaki here that that might have been a great for AZ. And in such case, I don't think it's wrong to call for a rematch with the same teams, especially if you think you have an advantage and the other team dropped. It's not you.
Yeah, absolutely. We just let it go. I mean, who would expect that you'd get paired against Lakota and Turks on Sahara? So we just went ahead with it, not expecting that bad.
Well, I think that's it. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here to see some great games. So I think that is some great sportsmanship showed by you guys just getting on with it and allowing a complete random rematch. Obviously, with the way it played out in the end, PLA had a good set of nations at the end. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, good sportsmanship means good karma, and it's obviously going to come back and hopefully help next time. So I guess next question I had was during that first match and the way it played out. Obviously, it was quite back and forth. Do you feel like how did you feel like the momentum of the game shifted? What was the biggest kind of turning point?
Well, I think the first game, obviously, I was surprised. I honestly didn't expect Lelouch to just give Timeless that cap sack. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that I more or less expected him to at least shift his cap behind. But when I saw that his cap just got captured, I knew that even if he does recapture it, Timeless has the plunder, and then it's going to be a hard match because I am Reach and I can't really win very fast. So that's
Yeah.
I think that when he got the plunder.
That's right. Do you think if you had found the silver, it could have gone the other way?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it could have. I mean, I did age fast anyway, and I think it seriously just boils down to Lelouch losing that cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry, you go, Jitin.
Okay, and so yeah, the first game was quite exciting. I mean, in the beginning, I thought you and Language of Trees would get Mouse, but those guys defended really well in there. What else do you think you might have done apart from Lelouch losing his capital? Do you think there was another factor there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the only turning point of the game. I mean, because of the plunder, the game just turned around. Because let's say one more obvious factor was Aztecs, and once he actually amassed that huge army, and he also managed to get Colossus. After that, it was just game over. Like I knew I was winning against Mouse, but against Aztecs, I mean, at that point, let's say it wasn't yeah, what's it called? The victory by capital. Let's say it was conquest. Even then, even if I kill Mouse with the army Aztecs had, and with Colossus, he could have easily took us on 1 versus 3 as well. I think.
Oh yes, I
Yeah,
do believe that might have been possible.
I mean,
and
that
I think
army insane.
as we watched the game, yeah, I think we commented basically the same thing as what you just said. Once you get that Colossus, he already had 110 population, and yeah, instantly just a huge army came out of every barracks, and yeah, very very tough to play against.
Yeah, especially against Aztecs in Age 4, like you can make barracks and get 2 archivist. How many archivists? I don't know. I think 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Jitin, just wondering, I'm not sure if this is possible, but obviously you and I can both see that IU is on video here.
Hmm.
Are you able to possibly add that in OBS so that everyone can see? If you're comfortable with that, of course, are you?
Oh no, no, I have no problem. It's just that let me see if my OBS has some problems with adding windows, certain
Oh, right.
applications, because I'll have to run the Skype as using my NVIDIA processor to be able to use it on OBS. It's some problem with the dual GPU. So
Oh, no.
I'll just quickly check if it's possible right now. And
Yeah, no problem.
meanwhile, Rizaki, so I want to ask you. So let's say you have played against Mouse and TNO for 3 games, right? And in one game there was I think Timeless was there in all 3 games. TNO and Angelo was replaced in the second game. Do you think it was that trio that is too difficult to beat, or do you think you were really lucky in the second game, or do you think it boils down to the tactics?
I don't think there's anything special. I know offensive. I really.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you. Can you be a little louder?
offense to them, but I don't really think that about the trio. I think we lost the first game because of the Caps hack, and we lost the third game because like they really like the third game was basically Mouse winning the game for them. Honestly, I mean his raids really destroyed my economy. I was going to rush, but I couldn't rush because he kept raiding me everywhere. And well, the second game, obviously, the second game we won because mostly because of Timeless's decisions. Like first he went Z-2 and then he went for a city, and then he was pushing with a tower, which allowed me to ambush Angelo in the process, and then Angelo got slow, and then which easily allowed us to just rush the middle city. And I went for the middle city because I knew that if I can get that one, then the third city is basically dead. So you
Yeah, I feel Timeless made that reckless decision. He shouldn't have done that, but that really worked out for you. And great play by you and Nakazaku on that side. That Spanish and Turks rush together. They easily get them. I don't think they would have stayed for long, even if the game had prolonged, because Lelouch was really getting Mouse on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. So this is something that a lot of people have been saying that why didn't we rush? Why didn't we rush? Honestly, it was mostly because Lelouch was more or less winning the entire game, but he kept talking like he was gonna lose any moment, and he just at one point I even brought my army back to help him, but then Angelo intercepted me. So I mean, Lelouch was like, I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose, but he actually won. So
Yeah.
that's
Do you know Lelouch and Nakazaku in personal life, in like real life?
well, I haven't met them, but
Hmm.
Lelouch has. Like, I think I know Lelouch from like 6 years. I think we've been playing Rise of Nations together. We started on Game Ranger and then we moved to Steam, and we were together in RA as well. He was RA Abu, and I was Virati. So he's an old friend, but Nakakazu is a relatively new friend, but he's a very nice guy. I mean, he's very polite and nice. So both of them are definitely good friends of mine.
That's great. So I have one. Actually, I have a few questions, but Kron, just am I intercepting you? Is there anything else? Anything you want to ask?
No, you go on for now. You go on.
All right. So yeah, yeah. Tell us something about yourself. So, are you a student? Are you working?
I'm a student, final year engineering.
Oh, that's great. So, just any and all the viewers who don't know about it, but in India, engineering is is
I
quite a
mean,
common field.
it's like
It's said that you first do engineering, then you decide what to do with your life.
I'm in the same circle of life that every Indian guy or girl is in.
All right, so yeah, I want to tell you, I'm also an engineer. I also completed my engineering 2 years back. So yeah, I understand your pain completely. And and yeah, it's quite nice to see that we have young students playing this game. I started this when I was in high school, and quite an interesting game. I hope our streams are helping the game to be revived and getting more players back on.
I mean, I've been watching the stream 2 hours straight. I mean, I've never been so hooked to something. This is actually amazing. I'm actually looking forward to the next tournament.
Oh yeah, thanks for that, man. And you guys played really well. So the last question from me would be, so you just lost to PLA, and you know how these guys play. So
Yeah.
if there's any advice for any future team who's going to play against PLA, what would you tell them? And can you
Okay.
be
So,
louder, close to the mic? It's just a little is
okay.
slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Well, I just have to say that like you should definitely focus on rares. Like if you have Angelo against you, he is going to raid, and you have to protect your rares against Angelo. And well, I think Mouse is kind of a boomer. I mean, he was Lakota in that game, so maybe it didn't come out as much. So if you are against Mouse, you have to show constant aggression. Otherwise, he's going to outboom you, and which didn't happen in the first game because I was Greeks on a water map, so that worked out for me easily. But I think against his booming, you just have to be careful.
Yeah, that's a great word of advice from we've got AZ Ruzaki here. And PLA is going to be playing LAT Team 1. So if LAT anybody from LAT Team 1 is hearing us listening to this stream, well, something very valuable for you. Watch out for Angelo's raids and Mouse's boom. And that'll be all from my side. Ron, is there anything you would like to ask?
Yeah, no, I think you've pretty much covered off. I was going to ask about that second game, but you already answered that question in advance about taking out that middle city. So I thought that was a great moment in the match. And no, overall, I just wanted to say, obviously, I'm part of the same clan. You've done us proud, put up an excellent fight against PLA. So well done to yourself and everyone else in the team. And yeah, look, I'm sure you guys will all come back stronger next time around. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Rizaki for being there with us, and we really appreciate your interview and letting us know about the game. For future matchups, if anybody is interested in a post game interview, well, we welcome you, and you can just be in the chats and let us know. Either let me or Kron know about it, and we can hook you up at Skype, and we can have a nice interview at the end of the game. This really makes it more interactive and lets us know you all and everybody else to know you as well.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like the game is coming back to life. Honestly.
Thanks for that, man. We really like appreciation at this point. The game is dying, but it seems that the streams are helping. The tournament is also going well so far, and kudos to everybody who has made it a priority to stick to the schedule and have their players from the rosters ready. And that's really something appreciable, because that's where a lot of tournaments went bad in the past. We would get players who were initially sign up but then not show up for the end game, and we would get people who would just whine about weird rules. They would make up their own rules and just drive the organizers crazy. So we have not seen any of that for this tournament, and we are really lucky to have nice players and great sportsmanship here.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Jiten. Absolutely second everything you just said. This has been awesome so far. Everyone's been so supportive. Everyone's done exactly what we need them to do, as far as, showing up and playing the matches on time. And speaking of matches, we do have, as we alluded to earlier, some really, really good matches coming up. We've got Forvali versus AL, I believe, within the next, 12 hours or so. I'm not sure exactly what time that one is, but we've got AL versus Forvali. We've got, Row versus AS. If I can ask, one final question to you, Ayuzaki, which match do you think will be, more exciting to watch? Which one are you looking forward to out of those two?
Oh yeah, Rizaki, I cannot hear you.
Well, I believe he has left the building actually, so I'm going to redirect that question to yourself, Jatin.
Okay.
Which match are you looking forward to the most?
So let me just quickly pull up the schedule, and so I'm quite torn apart between Rho Alpha and Forvali AL. So RO and Alpha, none of these teams are in the top four. I mean, as again, according to the general consensus, but both of these are fairly well matched. And same for AL and Forvali. Well, Forvali is in the top four, and I do believe they have got a really strong roster. But AL has got Hugo and Manfred, Loki. Those are interesting players as well, especially Manfred and Hugo. Those two are they're I can tell you how good they are, and whenever I play against them, I just have to be alert all the time. So if I was to look at quite an interesting game, I would say RO versus AS Alpha might be really close matchup. But if I was to look at a game where there's exceptional players playing, maybe for Wally and AL. But right now it's quite difficult to call somebody exceptional just because of the level of players we have in this tournament. Everybody is so good, and it's just so difficult to rank these players according to their skill set.
Exactly right. And I mean, so all around great matches coming up. We've also got TGZ versus Lat Team 3. Then, later on we've got AZ1 versus Lat Team 2, rounding out the round of 16. So plenty of action to stay tuned. So keep following, on Twitch, on YouTube. Make sure you check out all the matches as we cast them and upload them. And please please spread the word, share it with anyone you know who might be interested in checking out a new emerging esport, because Rise of Nations has been around for a long time, but I feel like this is the rebirth. This is the time that people are going to start getting involved in the esports scene again, and you can help by sharing with as many people as possible, spreading the gospel, so to speak. So thank you guys for your support, and please continue to share it.
Yes, guys. So I think we will come back soon with our next game whenever we receive the replays. And I have not heard a lot about which time zone works for people. So I guess, and just Issue S said that it's perfect for 8 p.m. for Europe time. Well, if that works for them, well, maybe we can do again tomorrow as well as tonight for EST. So what do you say, Kron? Is today evening for again the EST time good for you? That's somewhere morning in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as it's not 4 a.m. in Australia, I'll try and do whatever I can to help. Try and cast in those time zones where it's going to help everyone, not just the Americans or the Europeans or the Asians. Like, we've got to try and make sure everyone can get some prime time viewing of Rise of Nations action. So, absolutely, let's do it.
And just before we leave, last question from Happy. Happy is, where does IND stand in there? And I'll quickly bring back to the results of the game so far. The IND is going to face EL in the quarterfinals, and so that's where they stand right now. I have talked to EL, and they're not going to be playing this weekend. But we don't have to play this weekend. The quarterfinals are scheduled. They have a deadline for next Sunday, and we'll surely be able to finish the game by then.
Yeah, exactly. And the quarterfinals are going to be that next level up in gameplay. So already EL versus IND. A lot of fans for Octave out there seem to be cheering him on. I think when I say a lot of fans, I think it's just Serge, to be honest.
He's just Serge. Serge is rooting for Octave like there's no tomorrow. He's the best player.
Exactly, but who knows what will happen? Maybe it might be IND versus Fall Valley in the grand finals. You never know.
Yeah.
These things can happen, and I wonder what Serge will do then. Will he cheer for himself or cheer for Octave? That'll be
yeah, that's going to be quite tricky. And if Serge is here, we would like to know from him. And Rizaki, you were saying something. Your voice did not come through.
I was just saying that I'm actually just looking. You asked me which matchup I would like to see. I'm actually not familiar with all of the players of the AL clan or the RO clan, but I'm actually looking forward to the games of for Valley, because they have the best players, honestly, and I'm just looking forward to any of their matchups, to be honest.
Yes, so let's get on to it, man. And I think I'll try to get my Skype to show the picture, to show the video, if possible, and that'll make it even better. And yeah, I think we're going to take off from now. I'll leave the intro for a while if there's anyone willing to chat, and we'll be back soon with the replays of the next game, and let's have a great audience just like we had this one. So I'll be signing off here. Thank you, Rizaki, for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Yeah, thanks, Izaki. Some great games played, some great entertainment for everyone who's watching, and yeah, some great matches coming up. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye, and enjoy the tournament.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon. Bye. Bye.